Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Please accept whatever suits your time zone. I hope you're all doing well, and I really do mean that. Again, it is the Blue Morning Show, and I am happy to welcome you to today's Blue Morning Show. So, Blue Morning to you all, and today we're going to talk about who's made it to the final phase of the selection process for the sale of Chelsea Football Club. That includes the Ricketts group, the Boehly group, the Martin Broughton group. We'll see, and we'll talk about why the Ricketts are still in the running to become the new Chelsea owners, and who would think will become the new owners. So, let's get into it. Yes, good morning to you all. Welcome to Blue Morning, or rather, I prefer to say Blue Morning to you all. And I'm happy to have Stav in the house with me today. Stav, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. I'm fine. Welcome, everybody, in the chat.
Brilliant. Always good to hear from you, and good to hear that you're doing. So let's take some time and see who's in the chat already. We have Sasuke Uchiha, always the first to make it in the chat. Sasuke, I hope you're doing well. Blue morning to you, and blue morning to CFC for him. Great channel, great content, a great individual. I've gotten to know the man and not just a content creator, and I can assure you he is a good person. But more importantly, he produces great content that I'd like you to go check out. If you do, believe me, you will say thanks to me later. And also we have Fraser Orr, with always providing us with great updates, even as the show is on. He provides a great update for us. We also have Sidibe. Sidibe, nice to see you here. I hope you are doing well. Blue morning to you. Also, how are you guys doing? Good morning, says Fashi Kenny. Fashi Kenny, nice to see you here. Blue morning to you. So, stop coming to you. Blue morning to you, brother. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. I'm fine. Feeling a lot better.
Brilliant, brilliant. Nice to hear that. Nice to hear that. We also have Terry B, Gusta, and whoever you are and wherever you're watching from, please, if you haven't subscribed, please take a minute. It will take you just a minute. First of all, click on the like button so that the algorithm will push the show to more people so that they can join us. And remember, if we have 120 people today, we will do a giveaway. So you share the stream, share with people on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever social media that you have present, so we can have more people. And at least if you have enough numbers, we'll do a giveaway today. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel to help us grow. That will go a long way. That encourages me to do even more. So, Stab, how are you doing today, my friend? Sorry again.
I'll just go into the update. You've already asked me twice.
Yes. But again, I want to let the people know that we will talk about the finalists. It includes Boehly Group, the Broughton Group, the Ricketts Group, and the Pagliuca. I hope I'm not murdering his name. That's the owner of part owner of the Atalanta Football Club in Italy. So, Stav, you go ahead with the update. Stav, you still there? Okay, while we wait for Stav, because it looks like we've lost him. Okay, Stav, again, do you have any update for us? Looks like you were knocked out.
No, I went out because I was getting feedback. If I disappear, it's because I'm getting feedback.
Yeah, so go ahead with the update, Stav.
Okay, I'll start off with our illustrious leader, Mr. Abramovich. It was known that he'd flown to Moscow. Putin's spokesperson said that Roman was involved in the earlier talks, but isn't now. However, Polish reports say that he took a train using his Portuguese passport to Poland, to the border, to a town where Joe Biden is having meetings there. So they're saying that possibly he's gone there to have meetings with Biden. So that's that side of things. It was Roman who requested that he could inject the 30 million into the club fund. Came direct from Roman. So that's Roman's out of the way. As you just said, we've got the potential of 5 bidders now, not 4. You've named 4 of them. Nobody knows who the other ones are. It could be someone from before, and they're coming in as a combined. This is all I can get. That people have been rejected, signed again for the combined consortium. Atletico Madrid are interested in Ziyech. Roma are interested in Charlie Mastonda, who's free as of June 1st, and apparently Conor Gallagher, but that's not happening at 19 million. Jorginho is in tears and cut to bits because Italy went out of the World Cup. He missed 2 penalties in the qualifiers, which put them in the playoff. The cup semi-final is going to be Sunday the 16th at 4:30 UK time on ITV. We'll be wearing the yellow kit, and the women play Arsenal 4 hours before that in the semi-final, and that's on BBC 2. The clocks go forward tonight, so don't forget that.
Okay.
In the UK and the places. Right. That's pretty much it for now. If I think of anything else, I'll throw it in.
All right. Maybe I should go on. Somebody will bring it up. And again, a blue morning to everybody in the chat. If I haven't said that to you, staff. Thank you very much for that update. Again, we'll be talking about the finalists in the selection process, in the sole process of Chelsea Football Club, and you already know who are in the group. So let's start. Let me just look at the comment a bit, and then I'll share the link to the panel in the comment section so that whoever has time to join us can join us. This is Sasuke Uchiha saying there's a 5th unknown bidder, 5 in the short list. We know only 4. We do not know the other person. Yes, I think I'm getting tired of every now and then hearing there's a new entrant. That scares the heck out of me in terms of the time frame that I believe the whole process will be completed, because the more people you have, the more the time it will take to be completed. And this brilliant comment here from Sasuke Uchiha saying maybe it is Roman Abramovich with a fake mustache. We'll see. But that's a good joke, by the way. And then Fahim is just saying hello. And let me see if there's any other comment here saying hit the like button. And we have Matt Law already said one of the owners cannot pass the director's owner's test. And the question, I get your point. I've seen that too. How does he know that one of them will not pass it? If that person is not going to pass it, how are they able to make it to the final phase? So that comment there by Matt Law begs the question. Staff, what do you think by this comment by Matt Law?
Actually, 2.
Yeah, actually, in this original post, he's saying 2 people will not make it.
Yeah, because the 2 guys who were back in Broughton and Sebco, because they've got combined shares of 40% in Crystal Palace, and Pagliuca is the major shareholder in Atlanta. So to be involved in Chelsea.
So Pagliuca he's not coming out alone.
Yeah, but he's still a major shareholder. It doesn't matter. They're not going to base it on who's putting money in. If he's involved as a shareholder in another club, then it makes him contravene UEFA.
So let's just bring it to this comment. How do we know? How does Matt Law already know that one of them is not going to make it through? Actually, 2, like you said.
because he knows the rules.
Okay, that's a possibility. And Jackson Kimeyi says he's watching from Uganda. Greetings to you, my brother. And please, on that note, to say, tell us in the chat where you're watching from. That's important to us. And if I'm able to say hello in your language, I will do that. Tobago, how you doing, my brother?
I'm good, thanks, and you?
Awesome. I can't complain. I know you're coming from the Madiba country.
Yes.
And how is your brother doing? It's only fair that we ask that. I hope he's doing better.
Yeah, he was discharged yesterday.
Oh, good to hear. Good to hear. Good to hear. And we also have another person here, Gabriel. I hope you come through because it's looking your connection isn't strong enough to bring you in. So greetings to you, my Rwandan brother, not Uganda. Please mute your mic if you're not talking now, so it doesn't distract other people. And also, we have I'm watching you live from Ghana. I wish the Todd Boehly group becomes the new the new owners. Yeah, group, good to hear. Big up Coachila and stuff. Big up to you, the queen of the house. And this is just people exchanging greetings. Doing a great job. Thank you very much, ACN. Please, if you're not talking yet, unmute yourself so it doesn't distract other people. Italy, okay, this is just about, okay, let's come to you. Let me start with Tobago, what you have to say about the finalists. And I want to ask this question first, Stab. Do we have any official statement?
What, with regards to what? Who the
finalists, any official statement from Reigns or just?
No, it's still all media speculation and the people who claim they've been told that they're in. Nothing that officials come from Rain. What the next step is, once they've got the finalists, the next step is they're all given a password and they can access Chelsea's data, so they can see what Chelsea pay out, to see all the salaries, everything. Did you get all that?
Yeah, I have a question. I have a question on that because I see many people. I heard also my brother DJ Sav on Thai Talks channel. He has an issue with the fact that these guys will be given password access to that information you mentioned. They're worried. To them, it's an issue, but to me, I don't think so. I think there are limits to what they will have. I think it will be a limited access. It's not like they're giving them the life history of every player. It's just to get to understand the salary structure of of that, which is only good if you're buying a company, if you're buying an organization, you need to know those things. I think probably things they will see are things that always that are already in the public domain. What do you think, Tobago? Are you concerned about that?
No, I'm not concerned because, to be honest, I think they're giving them this password in order to know if you are going to buy Chelsea Football Club or invest in Chelsea. What are you expecting? What will you be spending when time goes on? So I think it's a good thing. So I'm not worried.
Yeah, it is part of the process. Yeah, you have to know what you're buying because you can't just pay some money and then when you come inside, I say, whoa, I didn't know these were all part of the deal. I didn't know these things were part of the deal. So it's important you educate them. Look, after buying this, there's also this side of the whole process. You're paying the players, and this is how much each person earns. This is how much this person earns, and these are all part of the structure of the organization. So I don't have an issue with that. It's nothing. And let's see, I want to bring you in. What do you think about that aspect? And then I'll go to staff. And by the way, greetings to you.
Yeah, man. How you guys doing, man?
Fine. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah,
Awesome.
It's part of the process. It's part of the process. Even before the club can surrender something as sensitive as this, these individual bidders, they've provided something to the club as well. they've shown the club what they have to offer. They've given the club access to their account, access to their finance. And if not the club, at least they're giving that to Ring Group. So this is just like being reciprocal, in the transaction. So they want to know whether it's going to be more of assets or more of liabilities. They want to see the pending contracts. They want to see the wage structures. They want to see every single thing in there to know, if is a task they will be willing to carry on moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense because I was thinking, why are people complaining about that? A password doesn't mean it. Maybe because the word password is part of it, and maybe if they had phrased it like something like educating, the potential new buyers on,
It's like
on what
saying, show me your book, show me your record, show me your account.
exactly. Yeah, had they said something about showing records on player salaries and that, then perhaps maybe people would understand it better. But maybe the word password being part of the whole thing is an
And giving
issue.
them access, the word access and password,
Yeah,
that's where the
exactly.
issue is.
Yeah, so that's the language is the issue. Yeah, come in, Staff. What do you have to say about people complaining about that?
Yeah, the thing is, there's this conception around data and keep data privacy and stuff. But it's not that big a deal to me because at the end of the day, we're all on social media and that, speculating what players get. So it's already out there in the domain. The media say they get so much. So it's just a clarification of what they're hearing or reading. So it's not a problem for me.
Yeah, it shouldn't even be a problem. That's why I say these are, and after all, these are information that are already in the public domain. You can find them. We know how much each player earns. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we think we do, right? But at the end of the day, like's already been said, they've got to provide information. So as a purchaser, they're entitled to know what they're entitled to know what expenditure they're going to have if they come in. So it's not a big a deal.
Yeah, they are.
They're not giving to get everybody's address and where they live and all this kind of stuff. So it's okay. Apparently, after that, they're all invited to fly over next week to meet Marina, Bruce Buck, Eugene Tenenbaum, Tuchel, and that Lawrence, whatever his name is, I can't remember his second name. So it's up to them. Obviously, next week's the first week in April, on the Friday, April 1st. So that leaves a month to conclude everything. So, but like we said earlier on, it's complicated by the fact that two of the bids may have issues with them. So they've got to sell off their shares if they're still in. So obviously they have to have this data because they've got to consider whether they should sell their shares to buy into Chelsea. But buying into Chelsea is a lot more profitable than buying into Crystal Palace. So if you sell your shares in Crystal Palace, you're obviously going to do better at Chelsea once the stadium.
Yeah, I think here's why I have an issue with that. We shouldn't be waiting for them to sell off their shares before. If they're not willing to sell it off and be part of the process, then I'm not going to consider them in the first place. If they're reluctant to sell, that means they're not confident they're going to make it through. They're not going to become the new owners of Chelsea Football Club. Why have them there to, just lengthen the whole process?
Well, it's not, is it? At the end of the day, everything will be decided next week. They come in, they speak to the club, they've got all the details, then they make their decision and just get on with it. They can still have the owners' checks with the EPL. It's only a UEFA issue that they've got shares in more than one club. So they have that done, and don't forget everything ends in May anyway. So then you restructure, don't you? You sell your shares, and you come in at the end of for the start of next season. So it's not really an issue, and it becomes even less of an issue because at the moment Crystal Palace are not in the current Champions League, and Atlanta are no longer in the Champions League, so there's no real UEFA conflict there at the moment. The conflict applies to next season if those clubs qualify.
Yeah, but there's still a chance it will happen because they could qualify next season.
Yeah, but so that's what I'm saying. Is that everything's going to be done before that qualification happens.
All right, no problem. Thank you very much for that. Again, coming to you, Tobago, and I'll come to you next, Leslie. Tobago, what do you think about the finalists? Any surprises for you, or are those the groups you expected to make it to the finalists?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm surprised. They added people who already have shares in other clubs. So if those guys, for example, they proceed going forward, they have to wait for them to sell those shares. So I think Rene didn't do their homework properly. They should have given people who doesn't have any club that may conflict with this ownership of a Chelsea Football Club. So I have a big problem with that. For example, if the owner of Atalanta that have 55 shares, Chelsea board likes him and then they accept him, they should also wait for him until he sells those shares. So, for example, if he doesn't get a buyer anytime soon, what will happen to the process? So I think they should have really considered that. And also about the Rickets. Besides racist comments and stuff, those guys already they have a club, Chicago Cubs.
But that's in the United States. That one, there's no conflict of interest there. If you argue, and it's a different sport.
No, I'm saying
the Cubs. What kind of club team are they?
Cubs is a baseball sport.
Yeah, that's really an issue if you ask me. But go ahead.
The issue is the way they're running the club. That's the issue. So that's my other problem, because if you can talk with the Cubs supporters, they're all saying the same thing. They don't want those guys. They want those guys gone. They don't know how to run that club properly. They sold 99% of their best players, and to make money out of it, now the club is not performing really, really well. So that's my concern.
Yeah, I get your point, and I believe me, I'd argue that most Chelsea fans are still surprised that the Ricketts family are still in the running to become new owners of Chelsea Football Club. And with that, I come to you, LSE. Any surprises for you, or are those the people you expected to make it to the final shortlist, to make it to the final list?
It's a bit surprising to see the Ricketts in there. Except the only reason they will be in there would be based on the assessment of their bid, not on the social issues surrounding their bid. So maybe they met the requirements, for Rain Group. I'm giving them, benefit of doubt here, But I also think that we cannot ignore the relationship that they had, prior to this deal. I'm talking about the Ricketts Group and the Rain Group. So they had that relationship. So I believe that played an important role in here as well. Their experience running the club also is a merit, So their case.
But they don't have a club, brother.
No, running a sport team, The Ricketts. All right. They own the Chicago Cubs, isn't it?
Yeah, they do. So you're making a great point. Go ahead.
Yeah. So they run they have experience in running a sport team. Yeah. They have experience in that, and then probably they have the financial backing with the inclusion of Ken Griffin in their consortium. So that could be the reason why they end up in here. But I thought that the social pressure, from the online campaign, would have been enough for them to not be in there at all. but from the way it is, it will be very, very foolish for the club to go ahead, to say that these people, they actually win the bid. If they win the bid, it's going to be problematic for everyone involved, including the Rain Group as well. So that's what I say in there. In terms of the other contenders in the short list, I would say I've grown, to like the Todd Boehly one. I've grown to like it, and the other ones I just don't see the feasibility of it. Especially the Broughton one, because like Tebogo was saying, how do you expect these people if they win the bid? If Sir Martin Broughton win the bid, what happens to the two Crystal Palace guys? Because these are the financial backers of the bid. So we don't know how long it's going to take for them to sell their stakes at Crystal Palace. And we don't even know if the new buyer of those stakes, is going to renegotiate the stakes, create a different terms, a lot of lawyers involved, a lot of process and all of that. So I just think it wasn't thought after at all, it wasn't thought properly. And they shouldn't have made the short list at all. They shouldn't have, because that is one done already. So let's just call it 4 because they said 5. All right.
Yeah.
Then with the new bid now, I don't know where who the financial backing is, because this Steve Duval that said is empowerment IP. I don't know what their financial backing is, because the guy is just an actor or something, retired actor. So I don't know who the financial backers are. I think we will need more information on that before I can make further comments.
Yeah, thank you. For me, I think I understand your concern also regarding the Ricketts. I'd say I'd ask the question of I think it was Lupo that asked the question. The Ricketts are not even liked by the Cubs fans. And he asked, I think I saw him always say he's surprised here. Here he says he's surprised that the Ricketts are still in the running. To me, that's surprising to me, because what excuses do you have? You've heard enough to disqualify them, or maybe just you could just give them a reason or two. You don't have to say it is because the fans don't like you. You
Yeah.
understand my
So
argument, right?
yeah. So basically, what the Ricketts group can say, is that Rain Group treated them unfairly, yeah, due to social pressure. Do you understand? They can make that argument, yeah, that Rain Group refused to assess their credibility, the credibility of their bid based on what they are presented, yeah, instead
Mm-hmm.
of considering the external factors that might affect it, So just
Mm-hmm.
dropping them might have some complex issue with Rain Group. I think that might be the reason, you know,
Mm.
for them to
I think you
include
make
them
a
in
good
this group.
argument there, Stav. I'll come to you in a bit, but before I go to Stav, I think I want to read some a few comments and welcome new. I think Jonas Mars is new here. I think I saw other some. I think Juraga Patrick is also new here. And please, if you haven't, please do subscribe to the channel. That means a lot to us. And again, I'm going to read some comments here. Then I'll go to Stav and ask you. Okay, let me just start with Stav. Stav, are you surprised by the list, or were they? That's the people in the final in the where the finalists right now, are they? Are you surprised?
No, why? First of all, the Rickets are going to use bankers to buy it. They're not even using their own money. Nobody out of these companies or what you consortiums, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
are going to be using all of their own money. So one group like Boehly having 8 billion, right, and then the Broughton having 5 billion, say, that's not really relevant, because they're not going to be using their own money. With regards to the conflict of interest, I would imagine that once they put their bid in, right, they would know that they've got to. If they're involved in the sport, they know they've got to sell their shares, right? So maybe they've already got buyers lined up, and they're just waiting to see if they get shortlisted before they go on with the sale. They're not going to sell their shares, right, in Crystal Palace or in Atlanta unless they know they're going to win, and they may already have buyers already set up, right? So they would have said all this, right? They would have given this information, right, that they've got buyers set up. Like, for example, the guy at Atlanta, maybe some of the other shareholders want to buy his shares, right? So, and then with the guys at Crystal Palace, it's the same thing. Other people are going to invest in Crystal Palace. People will invest in these clubs because of the TV money, right? Because of the prize money and stuff like that. And don't forget they sold Wan Bissaka for 50.4 million, right? So they've got quite a good squad, which is developing, and they've got players that can sell to make money out of it that way. So it's not that much of an issue at the moment. I would imagine that these groups have already put that in their plan, right? That they presented to their group, yeah, that they are capable of selling their shares and they have buyers up, but they're not going to sell the shares unless they know they're getting the club, right? And the thing is, you've got the whole summer to conclude all those deals because there's no conflict of interest until the new European competition starts, which is September.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Stav. Let's talk about the new entrant. What's that comment again? Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, the IP people. Yeah, 1 second, I'm coming. Where's that comment?
Don't need to. I've checked them already.
Yeah, the IP. Yeah, can you tell us about them? What do we know about them?
Yeah, it's monetization, funding for music, sport, and that kind of thing. So they're going to be used. They're going to be pretty similar to the Candy one, where they were using companies from outside, like to get their money. So Stephen Vidal, I think his name is, the guy who owns it, worth 5.2 billion himself. So,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
like
but
I
it
said,
just.
nobody,
Yeah, go ahead.
nobody, right, is going to use their own money, all their own money. They're all going to have outside funding as well. And apparently his bid went in 2 days ago. So obviously the closing date was last Friday. But if Chelsea are going to be they're going to be kept informed. And if they're not happy with some of the people who are bidding, they may say that they're willing to take more, and then the other people put their money in or put their bids in. With the Ricketts, right? Yeah, you can't stop them based on what people assume about them, i.e. the racism and all that stuff, right? That's down to the club to decide they're unacceptable. Rain are not the ones who have to decide that. As long as they put a good plan in and set up their stall and their bids and everything. And the fact that they've got previous dealings is irrelevant because many companies use the same bankers. It's not relevant.
Here's what I want to say. It's irrelevant, really. Here's what I want to say. I'm not concerned that they will emerge the new owners of Chelsea Football Club, but I'm concerned that they should have found a way to knock them off the whole process because it's causing problems for us. It's unsettling the Chelsea fan base, and it's not okay. I'm going to repeat myself. Do I think they will emerge the new owners? No, I don't see that happening. As long as it is true that the board has the final say on who becomes the new owners, they're the ones that will say, okay, we want these guys. We don't want all they need to say is that we want these guys, and not they don't really have to say we don't want the other people. So there's no way to say that anybody has been unfair to them. What do you think, LSG? Are you concerned that they will by any means emerge the new owners of the club?
I won't be surprised at this point. I won't be surprised at all if they decide to turn a blind ear to what we've been saying,
Mm-hmm.
and decide, to go ahead with it. Then on that ground, I will, people like Bruce Buck and stuff, they will have a lot to question. That means Roman had nothing to say in this at all, because it would just be so crazy for that to even be the case. If an ordinary fan like me can do research on these people, I don't know why, Chelsea as a club, and members of the board cannot research who their potential, buyer is going to be, you know. I think this whole thing just got complicated when the moment the Chelsea Trust Foundation rejected Abramovich initial plan to hand over the stewardship of the club, so he could distance himself. And I won't blame them heavily because I think what should have happened, they would have amend the club's constitution, or the charity trust to allow for something like this to occur because in the current state, there is no way that can happen. So that was probably why they rejected it. Had it been the Chelsea Trust accepted the stewardship, we won't be in this limbo. And like Star was saying, if these people are not going to put in their own money from day one, that means they are putting us back in debt, a debt that is already been wiped out. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been better to just have some form of ownership. Yeah. Someone come, if they're not bringing in their own money, and they are going to go to the bank to get loans and stuff like that. Chelsea, as an organization, is enough to acquire loan on. So why don't Marina go acquire loan? Why don't somebody from the board go acquire loan and build stadium and do all these things? What is their inputs then? Why do we need these new owners if they are not going to spend their own money? Do you understand? If they're not going to make any initial investment, if they're going to put us in debt from the very beginning, please, I
Mm-hmm.
will need someone, that have the smart answers to let us know what's really going on here. Because
Mm-hmm.
if we are expected to be on debt, yeah, from day one, it's not a good journey to travel on.
Yeah, it's not ideal, not in any way. Stav, coming. Let me coming to you, Stav. Do you have any concerns that there's a possibility that the Ricketts will emerge as the new owners of Chelsea Football Club?
Right, their reputation, right, the way they run the club, their political beliefs and all that stuff is irrelevant to
And
the
the way they treat you said their reputation, the way they run their club,
well,
which should,
everything
yeah.
that we complain about is irrelevant to the
Mm-hmm.
bidding process, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, Boehly and Rice, right, and the two guys who were back in Broughton, or Broughton, whatever you want to call him, right? They will invest some of their own money. They're not going to invest the whole amount themselves, and they will get some funding, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to accept that there's nobody around now like Roman, right, who's going to step in and have the clout to just buy on his own. This is the way sports clubs are run now, right? They're all consortiums. Nobody. Let's be honest. The Saudis could have bought Newcastle all by themselves. They didn't need the other two. Yeah, right. So they were well capable of buying Newcastle on their own. But you all need somebody who's going to front the club, right? Be the face of the club. And for them to be the face of the club, you either employ them as a paid executive or they put shares in. And Staveley, the woman at Newcastle, would have been the one who wanted to buy Newcastle originally with the other guy, and they didn't have the money, so they went to the Saudis. And the Saudis decided, yeah, it's okay for us, because let's not go back over their reasons for doing it, right? And they managed to get them in. Just like Nick Candy would have got all those Korean companies involved and stuff like that. There's nobody who's going to put the money in. And let's not forget, Roman bought the club for 140 million, right? We're now talking billions here. So it's a totally different concept. Right? I would imagine if Chelsea was 2 billion or 3 billion back 19 years ago, he wouldn't have bought it. He could have bought Man United, but he decided not to buy Man United because it was too expensive. So that's why he didn't buy Manchester United. Manchester United was the first club he visited, but he didn't buy them because he deemed them to be too expensive. Yeah. So this is the way it is. But with regards to the foundation thing, it wasn't allowed. It legally wasn't allowed. Nobody else. And with regards to Marina going out and getting a loan, he doesn't have the profile to go and get loans or boost book. Right? They're just employees at the end of the day. They don't have the profile to go and get loans from banks and stuff like that to buy the club. Right? It is what it is. We're stuck with it, whether we like it or not. Whether we don't like any particular one of the bidders, right? It's irrelevant. And nobody is going to use their own money totally. They're all going to get investment, right? And I think the Rickets are trying to get banks involved. And I don't think that the Chelsea board or Roman will be happy with that they're getting banks involved, right? And Roman does have a say, right? Let's not kid ourselves, right? That Marina, Bruce Buck, Eugene Tenenbaum.
So overall, Stav, I think, can you let me know if you're concerned that there's a possibility for the Ricketts family to emerge as the new owners of Chelsea Football Club?
Well, I'll be exceedingly, immensely surprised. My point is that they have to be allowed in because of the bidding process and what they've put forward as their bid, right? It doesn't mean they're going to get it. I can't see Marina, Bruce Buck, right, and ultimately Roman, because they're going to report back to it. Let's face it, as I said at the start with the update, it was Roman who decided to put the 30 million in, and they asked the government if he could put 30 million in, right? So Roman's fully aware of everything that's going on at the club, and I can't see him accepting them as the new owners. And he knows we've got a multicultural support base, right? Fan base. We've been to the Far East, we've been to Australia, we've been to the United States, all over Europe, right, to develop the fan base. And he knows all that. And at the end of the day, he originally decided to sell the club by himself because he wanted to keep the club safe. And you'll have to take his word that it was never about profit because he's proven that. Yeah, and he loves the club. So hopefully, at the end of the day, he gets his statue, he gets a stand named after him. And
right.
Eventually he can be allowed to come back and watch games.
Yeah, we get into that later, so I understand your point, and I think you made a good argument by saying you can't see Bruce Buck and Marina and whoever that represents the club at the table in selection process will allow that to happen because it's going to cause a lot of problems. Before I come to you, yes, Stav.
They're going to report to Roman, even if they want to. Roman won't.
Go ahead.
Even if Bruce Buck has some kind of link to the Rickets or whatever, right? Ultimately, he's just the chairman of the board, right? The real power within the club is Marina, because he's the one, right, with a line direct to Roman and Eugene Tenenbaum, because they deal with each other. Okay?
Understood.
So ultimately, it's going to be Roman, and I can't see him accepting that. Even if
I don't think he will, except if he's not aware of what's going on. Even if he's not aware of what's going on, I think those close to him that are watching will educate him on the whole thing. I think there must be somebody who's watching the situation closely that will educate him on how the fans feel about the whole situation. Now, I'm going to go through the comments, and I want us to address this one on the screen, and then I will come back to LSC. Before I read this comment, I want to go through the other, just welcome some people. I think I haven't seen Abba Chinecharam. Welcome to the stream. If you haven't, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. That goes a long way for us. And if you're watching, no matter where you're watching from, please be sure to like the stream on YouTube to help us reach more people. That's very important. You're all welcome here. Abba, feel at home, and please feel free to express yourself. And it's good to see that you're from Nigeria. Good to see you here. Now, let me go back to Abba's. Was it Abba's comment? I think I highlighted it here. Let me see. This comment here, I think it brings to mind how what that is the measure of influence that the fans has. That how much influence that the fans can wield in the whole process. Andrew Nkrumah, saw not Abba says, no, I think I'm looking. That's not the comment I'm looking for. I'm sorry. A comment that says something about the fans. Let me see if I can find it. I'm looking for a comment that says.
You mentioned the fans there.
Yeah, I think it's this one. Yeah, the one who is not wanted by the fans is in, but the one the fans want is outside. I think the reign are corrupt. Now we have to make something clear here. It doesn't come down to what the fans want. Yes, the fans can wield some measure of influence, but that's in it. Some, for instance, the case of the Ricketts. That's where the fans will have a voice, and they have a good reason to, protest the inclusion of the Ricketts in the final phase, or they have a good reason to protest if eventually the Ricketts emerge, the new owners of the club. But the fans cannot influence who becomes the new owner if everything is fine with the person. They don't have any bad records. They haven't done anything bad. I don't think the fans will influence them not being picked or picked because they don't just like them. Coming to you, let's see. What do you think?
Yeah. This person says rain group are corrupt and all of that. Yeah, there might be some elements of truth to that. I don't even know how they, can fully accept or earn the 30 million pounds, payment that they are getting from this brokerage. It's really, really sad because I think, as far as I'm concerned, that the Ricketts group, they are just occupying some space in there. They are just wasting a space. That space could have been given to someone like Steve Ballmer. We're talking about, who could be like Roma? Who could be like Roma? There's no one else. The only person I see right now would be someone like Steve Ballmer. Net worth $96 billion. So he could be a single owner. So that would be my preferred.
Who is talking about?
Steve Ballmer,
Okay.
American. He would be my preferred owner had he been made a bid. I thought he was the one that made it, but it was Empowerment IP. So I don't really understand what the Ring Group are doing because there have been some credible ones that have been shown out, and especially the Central Coast one. I don't understand why they were thrown out because they, as far as I'm concerned, they are more credible than the Ricketts bid. So I think we just have to wait and see at this point. But I think that if
in terms of LSE, in terms of the influence of the fans, how much of power, how much influence can they wield in the selection process? To me, like I've explained, I think they can wield influence when it comes to the reputation of the potential new owners. I don't think they will wield so much influence in selecting. That is in selecting who becomes the new owner when everything else is fine.
I understand that because there's a pressure out there. Anybody can pitch out anything against anyone. It could be. The most important point is this, whether we have an excuse to wield an influence over this sale, all right, like in the case of the Ricketts, or in the other people's cases, we may not have something tangible to really rally around, but just their track record alone, could be a factor because once they get in, once they sign those papers, it's over for us. Do you understand? So I think whether we wield influence or not, we should make our voice heard. That's my point. It doesn't matter whether we can influence it or not. We should. When we went out there for the Super League protest, we didn't know whether we'll be able to influence anything. Remember, we didn't know. All right, because they were all hell bent on going ahead with it. They all released statement at the same time. It was like a new full power block, and everyone was scared. We never knew that we could make, such changes, and it happened, So I think if there is any potential of us, having a bad owner, it
Mm-hmm.
is very, very important for us to go all out now and make our voice heard so they can refund their money before the money even gets to their accounts. Yeah. So they can just cancel the contract straight away, you know. Otherwise, we are going to be stuck with them for ages. That's my
Mm-hmm.
fear.
Yeah, I understand your point quite clearly. I think the fans has a voice of it. And then again, I'd argue that there's a limit to how much influence they can wield in the process. I think in the aspect of that is anything that has to do with the new owner, the potential new owner's behavior or reputation. Just as I say this with the case of the Rickets, I think they have I think their voice will be heard. I start coming to you. How much say would you say the fans have in the selection process?
Right, look, I'm going back over ground again because I feel I need to have to, because people are getting a bit too carried away, right? More than one company will use a bank. That includes Rain Group. Just because the Rickets have used them, it doesn't mean they've been corrupt, right? So that's point one. I'll get that out of the way now, right? There was a bidding process. They obviously ticked some of the boxes, if not all of them, right? If you exclude them because of what's been on social media, right, or because of his an old email or whatever, right, then he has cause to come back later and contest any sale. So he has to be allowed into the process, and he has to be allowed to go through the process to be rejected. If you reject him before, then he has a way to contest it. So now he's been shortlisted. He has to be given the same rights as everyone else. Doesn't mean he's going to be selected, right? And he will not be the final choice, right? Because, don't kid yourselves, the fans have made their voice heard, okay? And the supporters trust, Chelsea pitch owners, all these lot will be making their voices heard as time goes on, right? So, no, they can't make the ultimate decision, but they will influence what the club is. And let's face it, right? Does anybody really think that Marina, Eugene Tenenbaum and the board are so stupid that they don't know what's been said, that they don't know what the situation is with regards to ethics and everything? And it'll come to light that they don't run their club very well as well, right? All this stuff, they're going to go and meet Marina and Bruce and Eugene and all these guys, Dave Barnard probably, the club secretary, and Thomas Tuchel, right? And they're all savvy people. They're all clever people, right? And they're gonna pick up, and they'll be doing their own checks as well. They won't just leave it all to Rain. They'll be checking their clubs out and how they've been run and things like that, right? They're not just sitting there listening to Rain, right? They'll do their own due diligence as well, so they have as much information that they need themselves. These are savvy business people, right? Marina was Roman's troubleshooter, right, before she came to the club. Eugene Tenenbaum's a big businessman himself, right? Bruce Buck's corporate lawyer, right? All these people are savvy, right? They're not stupid, and they will have done their own checks. And let's face it, Roman didn't become a multi-billionaire by not doing his own thing, right? And checking everything out that he's been dealing in. So don't worry about that. They'll know about the Rickets and how they've run their club, okay? So but even if they get in, once the check's done, you can't cancel it, right? They're not going to get in, but they have to be allowed to go through the process so that there's no contention afterwards. Oh, well, you didn't pick us on hearsay and stuff like that. As long as they presented their case regarding money, right, and said we will develop the stadium and all this stuff, right, they have to be let in, okay? In response to our man there, right, Centricus would have been my choice as well. But obviously there's something that's an issue there, right, that they didn't get chosen. I would have chosen them. They would be my choice, right, but it's gone. And the guy who said that the one that fans wanted didn't get picked, and the ones the fans don't want got picked. Right? I'm gonna throw it out there and take a wild guess that we're talking about SMG. Right? People, get it out of your head that because they're worth 1.12 trillion, that they would have been the best ones. They were going to go into debt to buy the club. They were going to get outside funding. So the family, obviously, as general family, were not interested in it. And the guy who pushed him south is related to the government, right? They're cousins. So let's get this. Let's just forget SMG. It was never on. Doesn't matter what the personal fortune is, right? You can't spend it. FFP says you can only spend, as of next season, 70% of club-generated funds, right? So until we build a stadium, we're probably going to have to sell players to survive anyway, right? But we have players to sell to redevelop the squad and bring the young guys back. And for 1 or 2 seasons, let's see how we go with the young guys. Give them a chance to develop, right? Just like Man United did with all those young guys that came out of the youth, right? We've got Ampadu, you've got Conor Gallagher, you've got Billy Gilmore, all these kids. Bring them all back, throw them in the squad if you have to, and let's just get on with it, right? And let the people who buy it worry about the stadium, because that ultimately is the big thing, the stadium.
Yeah.
That develops our income.
Okay.
And TV money is going to improve as well, right? There's a new deal due, and BT and Sky are going to have to up their game and pay even more. And so will the foreign countries. Are going to need more to get Premier League football on their TVs. So that's all going to get better as well.
So Stav, how much influence do you think the fans can wield in the selection process?
You can't turn around and say to the club, "Don't pick them," right? That's not going to work, right? The thing with the Super League was a totally different situation, right? These people on the board and Roman are looking to find the people that they believe will be the best owners to further the club and keep developing it, right? And they'll pick whoever they believe. And they have more information than we do, right?
It's as simple as that. Yes, it's as simple as that. They have more information than we do, and they understand that those are potential new owners better than we do. All we see is their assets, their behavior, but there is more to them than we do know. But I think those people closer to the process understand those things better than we do. Bobby, welcome to the panel. I will come to you in a bit. Nick Blue, tell us how much influence, how much say do you think the fans have in the selection process?
Yeah, big up to everyone.
Big up to you too.
The fans do have an influence, you know, to get the Rickets out, you know, and you know, we're waiting to see what's going to happen. So, you know, I'm a member of the Chelsea Trust. I've been for a few years, and we're just waiting to see when the time is right to go up there. You know, and I'm sure they're not going to pick the Rickets anyway. I personally think it's going to be Todd Boehly. He seems the way he talks seems, you know, good. You know, he's talking about I want to do what the fans want, rebuild the stadium. You know, invest in the academy, keep Chelsea running the way it is. He's basically saying I will listen to the fans. So, you know, that's what I want to hear. So for me, I want Todd Boehly at the moment, unless there's someone out there who's Roman's twin brother, which we can pray for. But yeah, the fans have a big say what happens at Chelsea, a very big say. And what else? I forgot now what I was going to say. Yeah, mainly, because mainly, we all want that stadium to be rebuilt to have a 60, 70 capacity so we can all get tickets more easily. Not, it's very hard to get a ticket, as everyone knows. 40,000, it's impossible to get a ticket sometimes. So let's hope Boehly does what he says, if they pick him, that is. And I'm sure Robert, Marina, Czech, and the rest of them, they know who to pick. So I don't know why everyone's going mad still. It's probably the frustration because we've been waiting for 2 weeks now. The frustration of losing Roman, and the frustration for the sanctions on the club. We can't go to home games still. That's all that we want it finished. The sooner the better. So let's hope this coming week or 2 weeks we're gonna get an owner. If we're lucky, that is. Even it might even take longer. Yeah, that's what I have to say
Okay.
for now.
Yeah, thank you very much. Bobby, coming to you, can you explain to us how the fans, if it's possible, can influence the process? I understand that they have every right to protest any participant in any potential new owner that they think will not do well, or they think have a past that doesn't align with the club's policies, such as the Ricketts that we've talked about them a million times here. But how do you think the fans can influence the process, if you think it's possible?
Yeah, I think in many ways the fans, the fans can influence it because they've made it clear that they're not in favor of the Ricketts. But I think because the process has gone on for so long and the fans are concerned about the club, they're getting a bit hysterical. And the hysteria is now, being infiltrated by this, crazy sort of woke liberal mentality where, if you say something, everybody gets offended and that becomes a focus. I'm not negating the gravity of what has been said, but I just think, because that can be identified, there's so many people that might have that sort of way of thinking that don't have things you can identify with, and you live with them every day. So there are other issues here. The Ricketts, to me, a lot of the disqualifying part of them is the way they're running their current sporting establishments. They're not running them well. I'm more interested in the business plans of these bidders. I fully understand and accept and appreciate and agree with Stav that, look, sometimes you've got to shortlist people to avoid challenges in the future, to show that the fairness of your process, and to show that whoever is selected is a worthy winner. So, shortlisting doesn't mean appointing. Fans are taking it like as if it's an appointment. We have to a certain extent, have faith in those that are indeed eventually going to make the sale. I don't know. I mean, definitely money is a number one. You don't have money, you don't have high finance, your business plan is nothing, or it's a stupid business plan. Because Chelsea is high finance. You've got to build the stadium, you've got to sign new contracts, you've got to invest in the squads, and you've got to keep winning. So that is high finance, and you've got to have the finance. And I think there may be a lot of ignorance in and around some of the financial capabilities of some of these people. And I put Saudi media into it. I mean, I don't know them, but people are saying, oh, they're worth 1.5 trillion. Yeah, there is the financial fair play issue, which I don't think should be an issue in the financial capacity of the bidders. You have to have the money in order to be able to loan the club, underwrite the club, and so on. But there's one thing claiming that there was 1.5 trillion in assets. There's another thing being able to utilize those assets effectively for the club. And that's my concern with all of them. Even Todd Boehly, I'm not quite sure. He has a club in America. I'm not sure, one, his financial capability in his consortium. It must be good for them to have got this far. And two, how much of the funds he's got will be diverted to Chelsea. That's my slight concern there. But of all of them so far, he seems um, quite credible. Centricus, well, they certainly have the funds, but yet again, it could be down to the business plan. And the business plan has to be cast iron, it has to be watertight. And then you've got to look at the fitness and purpose in this current climate we are. I know it's full of hypocrisy, but I would like to think that at least in the Chelsea situation, they will select somebody who is less likely to be at odds with the government after having had this experience with Roman. So to answer your question, can the fans influence the
The
process? A little
selection
bit,
process, if you
we
like.
can make our voice heard a little bit as we're doing. Will it actually influence the process? That's left to be seen. I think as far as the Ricketts is concerned, it has influenced the process because the Supporters Trust has got involved and no other bidder has commanded a statement from the Supporters Trust. So that's the influence there. But people are talking about demonstrating, or they're not going to support Chelsea anymore, and all this hysterics. I don't know. I don't know if it's got to that yet. Certainly, where demonstrations are concerned, I'm not sure, and I don't think the board will want Chelsea to go from one set of problems to another. I just hope it is a quick sale as quick as possible going forward from now. I hope they are financially sound, which is critical. I hope they have a solid business plan. And I hope Chelsea as a club can be given some peace for a few years. It's been drama, drama, drama every day. And I think some of us are getting sick of it. We're getting tired of it. It's just, especially the older, more mature fans, we've had a lifetime of it. And though we've had the glory, recently, it's still come with the same topsy turvy. And the older you get, the less you really want to do this. And not that you ever will think of to stop supporting your club, but I'm beginning to see a lot of us are getting silent. We're looking elsewhere. We're looking for some peace. I chat with a lot of older Chelsea fans on Twitter quite a bit, and I can see the exhaustion of it all. Yes, we love our club. We've been through everything, but we've got to that point where, look, we've been through enough, and I know some hardcore Chelsea fans that are just quiet, now. They're just quiet because they're tired. And I'm getting into that bracket now. I'm tired of this. Get it sorted. Let's have some peace. You know, you look at all these other clubs around you, even Man City with their dubious owners, they have had peace since they've arrived. And I think that's something that is very much in my mind now. Get this sorted.
Hmm.
If we can have 5 years of glory along with peace, I'll be a very happy man.
Yeah, peace is important. Yeah, glory is important. But if you have glory and you don't have peace, you'll be suffering still. So you make a good argument there. This uh post that's coming from Olupo says we the fans should understand that there are so many bidders and a lot of background checks are important in order to select a credible buyer. So we need to stay calm. In my opinion, I think that's a good comment right there. We need to stay calm. It's not a process that you should, facilitate in a rush. Otherwise, you make a huge mistakes. If I think it's important to note that here he says, "Lend there's still one unknown bidder they trying to avoid being unknown in order to prevent what's happening with the Rickets at the moment. I'm not sure. So let me ask you this question, LSC, and then I'll go to staff. Why would someone, bidding for a club such as Chelsea, why would someone that person why would they want to be anonymous?
Yeah, there could be several reasons for that. Maybe they don't just want the media publicity,
Uh,
so they want to do their business quietly, and then I don't even care whether they are anonymous or not. My main concern is they have a credible bid and we can move on, you know. So at the same time, even though we want to move on quickly, we don't want to move on into, a different set of scenario that will not be favorable to us in the future. So that's why, that's why we are all concerned, not because we just want to be worried, over the issue, So this wasn't, we didn't cause this, we didn't want this to happen to us, but it happened, it's an external factor that we had to deal with here. So right now, we have to be careful to say the next man is not going to suffer the same fate as Roman Abramovich. So that's why we are concerned about the scenario. So as for this anonymous bidder, I don't know who the person is. Someone said it was Steve DeVore, who is an actor. I don't know. Empowerment IP, I don't know. So if there's an unknown bidder, did they make the shortlist? If they made the shortlist, how many people are now in the shortlist? Is it 5 or 6? Because initially it was 4. Later it became 5. So I don't know what the number is now. So these are all signs of preparation on the part of Rain Group. All right. So that means there were some bids that were rejected in the past. All right. So can they make their way back in? Or those bids that were rejected, were they assessed properly? We don't know. We don't know. So in terms of protest and agitation, I think the only time that will be appropriate is if the Rickets emerged. If they emerge or there are signs that they are emerging to be the winning bid, that will be the only time. Otherwise, it will be over for us because adding issue of racism to our current list of issues is going to be problematic in the future.
Yeah, here's where I understand your argument. Here's where what I love about this comment. Here's why it brings to mind the fact. Let me just start it this way. If we knew nothing, if the Rickets, if they were in if they were anonymous too, none of the fan base, nobody would have known who they were. Nobody would have known they had a past history of not running their club very well. Nobody would have known they cut up their worker salary, increase ticket prices 3 seasons in a row or so. Nobody would have known anything about their Islamophobic history or racism history and all that. There's a chance they would have made it to the final phase and even get selected, given they have a working relationship with Rain Group. So that's why this comment is brilliant. Let me read it again. It says, "Learn there's still one unknown bidder. Are they trying to avoid being known in order to prevent what's happening with the Rickets?" This could be a strategy. Because if the Rickets, after going through this, I don't think that participate in any other bidding process, making themselves known. So this is concerning now. Yeah, we've been seeing it from a positive perspective, saying, no, who knows? Maybe the Mr. Bidder could be a prince from one monarchy or monarch or something from one country or the other, who's will be like Roman. And now this highlights the fact there could be that possibility that the anonymous bidder could have issues that he doesn't want the fan base to know, so he doesn't want to face this. Maybe he's smart enough to be beaten anonymously from the start, because the Rickets would know now. If we had known, we should have come in as anonymously, and nobody would talk about it because we wouldn't know until it's announced that these are who the new trust owners are, and we can't do anything about it. I want you to say something about that, Nick Blue.
Yeah, a great comment he's made. Yeah, because I've been saying it all along. How long have I been saying there could be someone out there, hopefully like Roman, I've been saying, and I still believe there is someone we don't know about. Someone's going to come out the blue, and he could be the best thing for us. We don't know.
And could be the worst thing. It could go either
Could be
way.
the best thing. No, said. You
And
said the
I,
worst. I said the best thing. It could be the best thing for Chelsea Football Club and as fans. If it's anywhere near like Roman, even a tiny touch. But we don't know for sure. But I do believe there is someone out there. I've been saying, I believe in that.
can I
Okay.
just point
Yeah, go
something
ahead,
out?
Sam.
Right? Is it Suzuki or whatever his name is, or her name, the one who's always on first? The
Sorry?
person, the one who's always on first, Suzuki or
That's Uchiha.
yeah, right. They said already that it's empowerment IP, right? That's the fifth one. Okay, we discovered now that people started putting bids in even after last Friday. Now, the point is that maybe Chelsea decided they wanted to allow anybody with a reasonable chance of putting a good bid in and caring about the club and all that stuff we've all talked about, right? Yeah. They put their bid in on Thursday. Empowerment IP. They are the fifth one. There is no secrecy. They put the bid in on Thursday, and that's why they haven't been mentioned until now. Right? I checked it. I went back. I checked it, and that's how I know they put it in on Thursday. So there is no secret. That is who it is. Empowerment IP. Okay, right? I want to address a comment that you put on the bottom earlier on from an Andrew somebody, right? That the fans, the club is the fans, etc., etc., and we could decide who we want for our club, etc., etc. Right? We're not knowledgeable enough on all these people to make an assessment, right? People, and remember, I've said from day one, don't get carried away with what you're reading regarding people's assets and all that kind of stuff, because you'll be clouded. Your judgment will become clouded, right? What you want and what you think you want will be clouded, right? Just forget all that stuff. These are the five bidders. We have to choose one out of the five, right? The club will decide, right? The fans are the club, but the fans don't run the club. Never have, right? It started off with the Mears family, and they were running the club for God knows 70 odd years. Then it became Ken Bates, right? And then it became Roman, right? The fans have never ran the club. They've never decided any of the sort. Yeah, we're the ones that matter the most, right?
Yeah.
Specifically, especially the ones who go to the stadium. I don't go anymore. I live in Cyprus now. I can't go anymore because they're the people who are going to go to that 60,000 capacity stadium, put their money in every match day, right? They will buy their merchandise direct from the club shops, so all the money's going there, right? So they're the ones that matter, but they still don't get the choice either, because as supporters, right, we support Chelsea Football Club, and whatever's handed out to us, we just have to accept it and get on with it.
Yeah. Can I make a point where you're talking, very sensible there? Can I just make a point? Yeah.
Go ahead.
We know. Yeah. Let me just make this point. We know we can't run the club. We can't decide who the owner is. That will be decided by the board. We know that, and Roman. But we do have a say. That's what I'm saying.
That comment right there from Nick Blue. Nick, I didn't mean to cut you off. Highlights that is just answered that question regarding how much influence the fans can wield in the process. So there's a limit to it. The
Yeah, of
fans cannot
course.
decide.
We can't pick the owner, like Stav said, but we can have a say whatever decisions they make. We can, with our voices. That's what we can do because we're fans. That's what I'm saying. We can, like the Super League situation, we made them change their minds. We made Bruce Back get lost. We made Roman look at it and think, what a fan base I have. I'm not getting into this stupid Super League. That's what we do have a say in things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
But
Stav, carry on.
Can I just address that? Let me address that, right? I'll respond to that, right? Chelsea and Man City were the last two clubs to be invited into the Super League, okay? They were scared into it when they were told that they would be left behind and that all the other clubs will be the top 12. I think it was 12 in total, right? So they were conned into joining, but as soon as they found out that the fans didn't want it, yeah, that's fine. I admit the fans didn't want it. As soon as they found out the fans didn't want it and that they'd both been conned, they were the first two to leave, right? And as a fan, if I was still living in London and I was going to every game, which I would be if I was living there, right? I don't want Real Madrid, Barcelona, all these clubs. I don't want to be playing them every season. It takes the mystique away. It takes the adrenaline away that you get from going away to these games or going to see us play these teams at home, right? It takes the mystique away. And 6 of the clubs were English anyway. Okay? Now, I want to be in an English league with English teams, right, with different types of teams you're playing them. The Super League would have been a pretty much closed shop, and we would have been
seeing. Can we bring it to the topic we're talking about? Because we're going down the path to a different topic entirely.
The fans won that one, right? Because they're the ones who go through the gate, right? Not me and you. We couldn't protest. You couldn't protest from America. I couldn't protest from Cyprus, right? And whatever. The ones who go to the games are the ones who did the protest. The paying customer who's going to go in every game, right, or as many games as they can get to, and that's why they were listened to. Now, right, they're the ones that matter. That's the point I made. We don't know what a bid was made of. We don't know the substance, right? And the comment I was responding to originally came out with calling Rain corrupt and all this stuff, and they're only using us to make money and all this stuff, right? We chose them. Roman chose them. How are they using us? How? Roman chose them. I get really angry when I start seeing silly comments, in the chat, right, from people who are just making stupid, idiotic comments. We chose the Rain Group, right? It could be that Boehly's had previous dealings with them. It could be that the two guys involved with Broughton have had dealings with them, right? I go to a bank. I use the Bank of Cyprus, and there could be other people use the Bank of Cyprus. Doesn't mean it's a conflict of interest because somebody I'm in conflict with.
100% agree, Stan. It's an old stupid comments.
We can't be coming out with things.
Even because they got 30 million. That's their commission. It's a bank. Roman chose them, but some people don't understand. That's you're right.
Again, I want to say something. I understand what you explained very well, and I hope others do too. I think it's important. I think we address everyone with respect. No comment is stupid. Nobody is perfect. We all have things to learn from each other. So
I disagree. When you start using words like corrupt, right, and the bank's using us when we chose that bank, I'm sorry, that is stupid. And you can't do that. You can't do that. You're lucky, right, that nobody in the high up, right, in Rain is watching your channel right now. You can't use words like that, like corrupt.
All right, 100%. I get your point, but still,
Stuff is right, Coach.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to come to you in a bit. Okay. Your input. Do you have anything to say before I want to go to LSC? Then I'll go to Bobby. You have anything to say, Ty? Okay. I think Ty is not there. LSC. Let's understand. I want to ask you this question, LSC. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Let's talk about, you could say our enthusiasm regarding the anonymous bidders. Some of us were hopeful it will end up being one billionaire or the other who has so much money that the whole will have somebody like Roman or even someone who's richer, who'll be richer than Roman, Abramovich. But this comment here highlights that there's two two faces to that. Somebody being an anonymous bidder, it could be a bad person, and we know nothing about them, because that highlights the fact: what if the Ricketts, what if they were anonymous and we know nothing about them until we get to hear that these are the new owners of Chelsea Football Club? What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think it's like someone that is trying to avoid punishment. Yeah, the punishment is going to come to you eventually, but you're just trying to buy time. You're just trying to delay it. So that would be seen as because I think, in addition to their financial capacity, to buy the club, I think they are actually going to look into their social life as well, into their social credit as well. I think so, because you cannot just ignore some of the social corporate responsibility that many organizations have to fulfill. So I think
Mm-hmm.
as part of that, they will do that evaluation. So if it comes out that they try to sneak their way in without being properly vetted, they might not have a case if their bid is rejected at a later stage. So it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make sense for them to go ahead and sneak their way in. So like
Mm-hmm.
someone said earlier on, I think it's empowerment IP. So I don't believe they were trying
No,
to hide
no,
anything.
we're just looking at it now, given this comment, because it highlighted the fact that. No, no, but I get your point. We're just, talking about the fact that there's also another side to it, not just maybe the anonymous bidder will end up being some billionaire that we all welcome and that will be richer than Roman Abramovich. You get my point, but I think you explained something that makes perfect sense. You don't. The vetting process will most definitely include checking the social backgrounds of those people, seeing how well they are with how good they are dealing with people and something like that. That's important too. I think you make a good argument. Bobby, I'm going to come to you with restructure the question a bit. Bobby, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we understand, we've learned, we did see ourselves how pivotal the fans were to the club of pulling out of the Super League when that is when we heard about it. We didn't like it. People use their platforms to produce content and voice, you know, how much they hated that idea, and the fans did protest at Stamford Bridge and other places. Now, clearly, the fans did a good job there. It was their pressure that led to Roman asking for the club to withdraw from the Super League. Now, what is the difference between the fans' influence in that situation and how much influence they have now in the selection process of who becomes new Chelsea owner?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, just before I answer, I'll digress slightly because after answering, I'll need to leave, if I may. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you can post Stav's Twitter address again. I don't know if it's okay with you, Stav. I can reconnect on Twitter. I don't think, I hate it when Chelsea fans are not communicating because of a difference of opinion. That's not
Mm-hmm.
what I'm about, and I'd love to be able to reconnect with you because I think some of our interactions here has really been good, and you're a very intelligent man.
Yeah, I
Um,
believe he heard you, and
o-
I think he dropped out probably because he has a connection issue. I think he'll be back. But go ahead, I'll let him know.
okay, yeah, that's fine. Well, look, the 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 influence of fans, for example, where the European League was concerned,
Mm-hmm.
was, I mean, fans were emboldened by the fact that they knew who their owner was. And this is a huge testimony to Roman. The Chelsea fans know Roman. They know Roman is one of them. They know Roman will listen to them. And so they came out. And they were not disappointed. I personally believe that was the driving force. We are so well connected to our owner that Chelsea fans never for 1 minute, when all that was going on, blamed Roman, felt that Roman was a driver. And I think because Chelsea fans are very intelligent, as individually and as a group, I think they understood that the club was actually being deceived. And so that was an entirely different situation. This situation, Roman is not there as such. We don't know how influential he is. We know that there's an intermediary, and then there are government issues around it. I think the fans are a little bit stunned at the moment. You know, Chelsea fans that I know, if you tell them that they can't watch games at Stamford Bridge, they would really kick off. But they're stunned and confused by everything that's going on at the moment. You know, the sanctions, what's behind it. You know, it's very hurtful for us. It really is. We were close to Roman. Suddenly he's been pushed away and we're told he's this bad guy. And then we can't do this, we can't do that. So even some of the people working at the club can't ply their business. It's too much. It's too much. However, now this sale thing, I personally believe that sometimes it's a good thing that fans don't know too much. You know, it's a very good point. You know, the Ricketts are people we know, and I sort of alluded to that because they're, you know, they didn't cover their tracks. One of them, their father released an email or several emails expressing his opinion of something that most of us don't agree with, and it was quite rightly called out. But the funny thing about it, why I always say is, look, okay, that's one part of them, but let's also not negate their fitness to own the club in the fact that their track record is not good, because that is a very, very strong point to put across. And that is a point that will touch everybody, both the ones we know and the ones we don't know that have skeletons in the cupboard. Because, you know, racism is an institution, whether we want to believe it or not. I even look at some of the people protesting this, and I posted it on Twitter, and I laugh. I think, okay, you're calling them out for this email and that email. Yet you travel away to maybe, you know, your land of heritage, and look at the way you're very comfortable with them treating darker skinned people. I mean, there's a lot of controversy, there's a lot of hypocrisy. That's why I kind of step back a little bit from this sort of racial allegation. I believe it is wrong. I stand against it, full stop. But in this situation, where the perpetrators have actually come out and denounced it and apologized more or less for their past, then I think the best way to squeeze them out is an intelligent way. Look at their fitness to be able to run this club, and their record is bad. And that is something that everybody can be subject to, because they're going to be those. Don't you think for a minute, because there's no record behind some of our favored bidders of racism per se that we can point to, that they have not at some point been guilty of it. Now that's a big statement to make, because, you know, you're like, oh, Bobby, are you calling everybody racist? No, but I'm saying racism is an institution, and some people have a subconscious bias that they're not even aware of. So we've got to be careful, and we still do business with them, if you see my point. So fans get hysterical. We've been through a lot. We've been through a lot of instability. I mean, every season, season in, season out with Chelsea, it's something. And this is a big thing that has rocked us, it has hurt us, it has stunned us, it's left our heads spinning. And so there's a group that is reactive. You know, it's comfortable when you know your enemy, when you can point to someone and you can all let vent on that person for that particular thing, forgetting the entire bigger issue, because it's complex. And that's why, as I said earlier, a lot of the more mature Chelsea fans have been with Chelsea for decades are now tired. We're just stepping back. We're like, do you know what? I love my club, but this is all, you know, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. We don't need this. You know, if it's not people kicking off, oh, we've changed managers, and all of the managers we've changed, I've agreed with at the time we changed them. Or people kicking off, oh, this player won't sign a contract. Those are the minor things, but even that was exhausting enough. But now having to deal with this, it's too much. We've been there before, decades ago. We've dealt with almost going into administration. We've dealt with relegation. We've dealt with everything. When you get older, you just get to that point where, you know what, I just want peace. Sell the club, get somebody in by the grace of God that has the finances, has at least the desire, because it won't be one person, it's going to be a consortium. And in order to deal with the financial demands of a club like this, and let's move on. But I have a sneaky feeling that whatever happens, because people have made a living out of this disharmony, they will keep looking for things to create more disharmony, more complaints, more agitation, less peace. And that's very sad.
Yeah, I think we have to calm down a bit. People are reactionary and also sometimes, in some cases, overreacting. But then again, you can't blame anybody. We're all concerned about the club. We all love so much. So I wouldn't blame anybody for being so concerned, But again, we have to watch our behavior and how we react to the situation. So thank you very much for that great input there, Bobby. LSC, I'm going to come to you before I go to Stav. This comment by input by Just Viola said, Absolute Chelsea says, Rena will assess the bids against a set of criteria, including the level of equity and debt funding, price of future investment commitment. How important are these factors?
Yeah, these are the things we've discussed before in previous streams,
Mm-hmm.
based on the criteria that was given to them by Chelsea. So they have to meet this criteria. Every single bid have to meet this criteria, including employment, retaining employment of every single um, person that is currently employed by Chelsea at the moment. You must not reduce their wages and you must not follow them as well. So these are very important. And I don't know whether they can get this done by April, honestly. I think the sanction lasts till May, end of May. So since the government has given us a little bit of leeway in terms of ticket sales and budgets for travel, both home and away, maybe we can take our time a little bit and exercise some patience because 2 weeks ago it was much more difficult than this when they were meant to just spend £20,000 and there's no way they could have a away fan. So now that the
Mm-hmm.
situation is a bit relaxed, so maybe we can consider that as well and just take our time a little bit and get it, the best buyer.
Yeah, I think your argument, I understand your point there. And continues, she says, speed and certainty of execution, and the claims each party has to be an appropriate steward of a prestigious sporting brand. I think this, as far as your input before we switch to looking at the candidates one by one. Stav, are you still there?
Yeah, there's not a lot I can add to that. Just Viola's explained everything perfectly there. And people need to just calm down, right? With regards to what LSG just said, we're not making money out of ticket sales. We don't get any money from the ticket sales. Okay? So there's no income there. Away fans, the money goes to the FA and the Premier League, and they're going to distribute it to, I believe, Ukraine. FA Cup, that money's going to the FA, and the UEFA Champions League, that goes to UEFA, who are also allegedly going to distribute it to the Ukraine and charities. So we don't actually make any money out of that. But if you've got 3,000 fans into the stadium from the away club, they're going to buy beer, they're going to buy food. They're probably, I don't know if they've lifted the ban on programmes. Hopefully they'll have the brains to lift that off as well. So there's an income there. So, yeah, because you can't expect people to go to a ground for 2 or 3 hours and not eat or drink, right? So that's a health and safety issue as well. So they have to allow them to sell food and things like that. But as far as tickets go, we're not making any money out of the tickets. That's not going to us. It's going to the organisers of each competition. But at least it improves the atmosphere having away fans in. Hopefully, by next week, once they've had all the meetings and that, and they've all been over to London, they'll decide on a winner over that weekend, and then by Monday, Tuesday of the following week, which will be the first 3 or 4 days of April, they'll send the winning bidder to the government to okay, and once they've okayed that, right, they get on with the checks from the Premier League, and hopefully the government will have the common sense to lift some of the other restrictions as well.
Let me ask this question. Great point there. Let me ask this. Outside, okay, Bobby is gone. Let me ask this question. Let me start with Nick Blue, and then I'll come. We have two staffs here actually. I guess because okay, but that's not a problem. Let me ask this.
One.
Yeah, I've ignored one. I had to kick it out of the studio. Mark Klein, this is from Just Viola also. Mark Kleinman, Rain is suspected to set a deadline for a second round of bids by mid-April, after which it anticipates signing a formal deal and approaching, then continued here, and approaching government for a special license to approve the transaction by the end of the month. This is even more complex than I had thought originally. Would that be an issue if I'm coming? If you and let me start with LSC. Would that be an issue because it's just looking as if the process is not going to be completed as that is as soon as we expect it to.
You mean the complication
The
with the
whole
license?
process, yeah. Because looking at this, there's still going to be a second round of bids. There's still going to be a license from the government. That when the government for a special license to approve the transaction by the end of the month. So it doesn't look like it's a complicated process, if you ask me.
Yeah. Thanks, staff, for letting me know that the income will not come in to Chelsea, because I thought they were going to put the money on escrow and hold it for us until the sanctions are lifted before they give us the money. But since you said it's going to Ukraine, then that means we are seeing a very, very difficult situation. So that means we need to hard fast. So with regards to what is he saying here, is this part of the question? After which it anticipates signing a formal deal approaching the club. Yeah, it's the whole process. We just have to allow Rain to go on with their process. Because however it lasts, I think it's going to be for our best interest, not just rush people in and then not know how they are going to touch the numbers, because believe me, they are going to analyze everything to every single players in the academy, in the loan system. You get what I mean? So, and it's important that this process is going through another round, because there's no way there can be 5 shortlists and not go through a second round. You get what I'm saying? So maybe that might be the reason. Otherwise, there's no way they can get back to just 2 bids, because they are still going to need like 2 or 3 bids at the end of this round.
What do you think, Ty? Ferran? I don't think it's there.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, what do you think?
Sorry, I'm not hearing you.
I'm saying, I just asked you, what do you think about the fact that it's going to be a second round of bids, and then that would take time also to look into, because if people change their proposal, which means the committee involved in picking responsible for picking the new owners will take some time to go through it also. So it's looking more like it will take more time than previously anticipated.
Yeah, I think it was assumed that everything would be started by the end of March. But as these updates are saying that there'll be a second round, it does look as if it may probably conclude closer to May, or probably the beginning of May, depending on what decision the rain group decides to make. It really is a bit strange because like you're saying, and I mean, if it's true, and probably no, it can be proven to be true, that the respective buyers or potential buyers have they have permission to be able to look at certain parts of the club in terms of the loan system, um you know contracts and things like that. It really is a concern, because if they believe that there's somebody who they can probably cut here and cut there, it could be an issue. But I think, when you think about how long this process is taking to decide an owner, it really is, getting quite stressful for fans. Fans want to see this being done and dusted, and so they can move on and focus on football, because this at the moment isn't football. It's politics. It's business. And I mean, football is becoming a business based sport, and it has been for years. But right now, it really isn't an enjoyable time for fans, because it's mostly politics, and not all our people like politics, and no one really likes to mix the both into one thing. So it's not good. It's pretty um stressful for fans, and for me in particular, because I just want to be able to focus on the positive side of all of this, and is that we'll be able to have new progression, be able to regress.
All right, stop. Any take on this?
One second.
Hmm.
Just clearing my throat. I wouldn't say. I'm not saying it's not correct, but I wouldn't be taking too much from Sky Sports at the moment. But we've got till the end of May, and if the situation gets bad, I'm sure Roman will be allowed to put more money in if he wants to. Plus, hopefully, we'll proceed to the final of the both cups, and we're picking up money as we go along. The license will change once there's a final decision as to who it is. The license will change as well, but it could change in the meantime, because there's people in talks with the government anyway to try and allow us to sell the tickets. So if they're that serious.
So let me ask you quickly: are you still confident that this whole process will be completed by April ending, like you've always argued?
End of April.
Mm-hmm.
The buyer will be found. The EPL will do their checks. And it could be mid-May, whatever. But at the end of the day, the license is there till the end of May. So it's just a matter of getting to the end. Bruce Buck said we had the money, and Roman's injected another 30 million, and we've just earned 12 million by getting through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. So we'll be all right. I'm not going to start panicking. It may take a bit longer, right? But the thing is, we all base our assessments and things on what we see in the media, right? And that's what the media was saying, that the target was to have it done by the end of April. And that might still be the case. I'll believe it. I want to see it from other sources as well, not just Sky Sports. So they're not. I'm not saying they're unreliable, but the sources they use may not be correct either. So after next week, we'll get a clearer picture when they've all been across to meet the board, and then they'll start coming to light what's actually going to happen. But
Yeah,
if it's
I
to the
hope.
end of May, if it's to the end of May, so be it. We got a license
Yeah,
till then; it's not an issue.
yeah, I hope that happens as soon as possible. And with that, I say, Chichi, who says, I don't tire for this cell process. It is taking too much time. Me, I don't tire, and I have to be honest with you, it's exhausting. It scares the heck out of me every day, or there's a new development regarding the potential new owners, the problems they've had in the past. So, all those things, they scare the heck out of me. So, I think it's about time we talk about the potential, those that are in the running to become has made it to the final phase and are in the running to become the new owners. I think we should start with let me see what I have there. Let's look at Todd Boehly's comment and see. I want to get your thoughts on what you guys think, whether it makes a difference or to you it means nothing, or you prefer seeing action than his words. Let's listen to this. And please let me know if you can hear him.
From that perspective, feel passionate about winning, feel passionate about winning. And you always just have to keep remembering that the fan's the center, right? And the second that you kind of veer, just go back to think about the fan, think about the fan. And if you're always wearing the fan's eyes, right, and thinking about it from that perspective, feel passionate about winning. And you always just have to keep remembering that the fan's the center, right? And the second that
Nick, what does that comment mean to you?
Yeah. Well, you're saying the thing about the fans. That's what he's saying. But I just hope he means what he's saying. That's all, really. I don't know, for sure if he's. I don't think he's just saying it for sake of saying it. But we don't know. If he does become our owner, we're going to find out. And I hope it doesn't last to May. I was hoping to at least end of April to have a new owner, according to a lot of people. I don't know why it should go to May. That's really confusing.
Yeah, the fact is, it's a complex process. We were hoping to hear to know the finalists last Monday, but we didn't. We had no clarity on that until yesterday.
Yeah,
and we're not even sure yet. You cannot say even we have clarity on that.
I just hope it doesn't last to May. Get it over and done with, so we know what we can sign Rudiger's contract. As if he wants to stay, looks like he might want to stay now. And it's not the players now. All we talk about is politics. It's crazy. We're not politicians, but we're acting like politicians.
Okay. How about Ty? Ty, I'm going to come to you. What do you think about the comments from this comment by Todd Boehly?
Yeah, everything he's saying, it sounds like somebody who wants to persuade someone would say. I'm not saying he's trying to do that. What he is saying, the words that he's using is correct. You have to think about the fans, yes, but it all comes down to is he saying one thing and is his belief the next? Because in this case, action would speak louder than words. You can easily say something, and just to get people on your side, and then when you have made that progression to a more higher level where you have more permission, you can easily disregard what you initially said and do something totally different. But the words he was using are true. You have to think about the fans because if you look at it from their eyes, using some of what he said, yeah, it does make sense what he's saying, but at the same time, does he mean what he's saying? Is it a case where he's just saying it for the sake of saying it, or is it that his belief? Is that what he stands for? Is that his personality?
Here's one thing. I think the LA Dodgers, I think that's the name of his basketball team. I think so. Is a basketball team or a baseball team? I think they've done well. I think we've talked about it here before. LA Dodgers, yes, exactly. The hashtag of making he means it looked like LA Dodgers. Yeah. To me, I think the good thing about this video we watched is that it was recorded a while ago, not of recent. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, and we have another one to listen to also. But Star, does that comment mean mean anything to you, or you think it's just nonsense?
How can I put it? Right. Roman never used to make any comment. Okay, and look how he turned out. So I think Roman's a strong silent type. When I met him, the conversation wasn't very long, right? And we used to play the Kalinka at this ground, and he decided he didn't want it because he didn't want it to be about him. He wanted it to be about the club. And this speech doesn't necessarily convince me that Boehly's the same. I don't know. Like you said, it's not recent, so I don't know.
Yeah, the fact that it's not recent and the fact that you cannot argue that he's just making those statements just because he wants to win it's the hearts of the Chelsea fans. Alexi, what do you think? Does that comment mean anything to you? And if you're in the chat, let us know if that comment means anything to you.
Yeah, basically, I'm happy you point out that the comment was made a long time ago. That was during the purchase of the LA Dodgers. And he did make true, to his comments, to his promise and everything, All this guy is interested in is winning. He doesn't care. One of the questions he was asked was, do you care about domination? Do you care about fans worrying about domination? He said he's not interested in domination, but if winning all the time, winning the titles every time, amount to domination, then, I don't care what term, what language you decide to use, And in terms of taking something from our club, I believe someone like Boehly will increase the stadium capacity, but it's not going to depend on revenue from the stadium. It's going to be all about media. You see, when you talk about data, the use of data and all of that, what this guy is basically doing is what he's doing with his current company, which is Edridge. So he wants to use media. Don't be surprised, if you start seeing some kind of, online games that is even different from the current ones we have now, right? He wants to monetize this club in a different way that doesn't affect us, but winning on the pitch will translate into winning financially. So that's why I'm warming up to his consortium. I didn't like him at the beginning, but after taking some time to warm up to him, I know that his interest at Chelsea is genuine because he came in 2019. He tried to buy the club 2019. Unlike the other ones, these guys just saw the opportunity and they want to get in the business, which is fine. But in his own case, he tried to buy it from Abramovich before now. So that shows something genuine. At least at that time, he also knew the strength of the club.
Yeah, I think the fact is, the fact that he understands, because I've always argued that for Arsenal, even if Arsenal owners, if they are profit focused, you have to win first to attract good sponsors and also to make money. Winning brings, profit. If you ask me, now I'm going to read some comments here because these guys they're following the. He says, Fraser says he means it looks at LA Dodgers, and Sasuke says, guys, the Kronkers won the Super Bowl. Look at Arsenal. That's a good argument too. So we have to also tread cautiously because it doesn't translate to success. Success in American sports like a baseball, a basketball, or whatever sports they enjoy here doesn't translate to success in football proper. I think it makes sense. And Fraser says Elect Dodgers is a baseball team, not a Super Bowl team. Thank you for explaining. You cannot compare baseball to American football.
You can you can use that to say that you can compare baseball to football as well.
Mm-hmm. So now let's watch this one too here. See what he has to say here.
It's valuable, right? So as you start winning more and winning with regularity, right, then you have more and more associations and opportunities for associations with the equity in the brand.
Yeah, no, that makes.
By the way, winning's valuable.
So Stab,
Right?
what do you
as
have to say about
winning
this?
more and winning with regularity, right, then
Nothing. At the
Go
end of
ahead,
the day,
Stab. That's hilarious. Yeah, go ahead.
at the end of the day, we're talking two different countries, two different sports, two different continents, and what works over there doesn't necessarily work in Europe or in England. Right, at the end of the day, and you cannot, right? You cannot belittle or reduce the enormity of the fact that the stadium needs to be bigger and that the income of the stadium, right? Because when you get a sponsor, right, if you get a sponsor like Samsung, yes, like when we had them, they want to see that their names cropping up all around the world, digitally or attached to the club, the brand, all this stuff he's saying. But they want to see 50, 60,000 people walking around with their name emblazoned on their shirt, walking in the street, flashing the sponsor's name out in the street, right? And that goes into the brain and into the mind. And every time you travel somewhere, every time you go away from home, right, you're putting that name into the minds of the opposition fans as well. So let's not make the importance of the fans going to the game, because ultimately they're the ones who will project the image of the club. That's why we get so much stick, because you always get some idiots who are racists, and they never let go. Once the media get hold of that, they never let go. And it's the people who go to the games. I'm not going anymore, right? I could quite easily just say, oh, well, I don't care. They don't matter or whatever, but they do, because they're the ones who project the image everywhere they go, including through Europe, right? And you can't say that it's not important. And the stadium needs to be increased. And if you increase it, it'll treble, right, the income for the club. And that's the base you start from when you're trying to negotiate deals, right, for sponsorship, for sleeves, training gear, all this kind of stuff. That's the basis. If you're going to go and say to them, oh, well, we get 60,000 fans, but they don't matter, they're not important, right? Because they are to the sponsors. They are to the sponsors, because they're the people walking around wearing their sponsorship on their shirts. Why do you think 3 wanted to take the name off? Because they thought that their image is going to be bad because of what's going on. So you don't make the stadium going fans. They're the ones that matter the most. I'm not one of them anymore, right? But I can still say they're the ones that matter the most, because they're going to project the image of the club everywhere they go, and they're the ones that matter the most. And to get an extra income from them, right, another 20, 30,000 of them, right, that is a big deal. That is a big deal, right? And at the end of the day, that's what football's about. People who go to the games, they sit there, they shout for the support the players. That's what football's about people going to the game, right? It's only because we've become the sports spread through the world. Don't forget, it started in England, football, right? And it spread out through the world. And that's how the game became so massive. And it's all about going to the games, isn't it? It's about, you get up in the morning, you travel to the ground, you get the buzz, your adrenaline starts pumping, and it's a total excitement. right? I don't get the same excitement anymore sitting at home. That's the truth. I can honestly say that's the truth, right? And they're the ones who are going to project our image. So I have all the respect for the people who go to the games, right? Because they are the most important people in the club. So it's okay us sitting 100 miles away, 1,000 miles away, 2,000, 5,000, whatever, right? When the game is on TV, those are the people you see, right? Those are the people who they hear, and those are the people they're going to interview. They're not going to come to my house to interview me. Did you enjoy watching Chelsea on TV? Either? So that is the most important aspect, right? And if you haven't been to Stamford Bridge, go. If you get the chance to go, go, because it's a totally different thing altogether. It's a different buzz. It's an adrenaline rush, right? It's a bit different buzz. Ask Phantom, he was in the chat because he went the other way, right? So yeah, I get all the digital stuff. That is it LSD or whatever his name is. I get all the way they project the club and the brand around the world, right? But at the end of the day, sport was created for people. But first, it was created for people to play, and then it was created for people to go and watch, right? And it was the working classes that went to watch it, right? In England, the people with lots of money and stuff like that, they go to cricket or rugby, right? Or they go to an executive box of football. But
Yeah, I want to take this
if you get a
opportunity to
chance to
say,
go, if you get a chance to
sorry.
go, anybody who gets the chance to go to Stamford Bridge, go.
Yeah, I want to take this opportunity to say big up to DJ Esab for always finding time to join. I know you're a very busy man, but I appreciate seeing you around. That makes a huge difference. So I want to look at some of the comments. I think it's an investment that I'm not sure where that's at, so I don't know how to address it. If you're in the chat and you have any questions for us, please let us know. We can try to answer your question if you do. Now, staff, LSC coming to you. Let me ask you this. It's clear now. I'm going to look at this poll first. I put a poll out asking who is your first choice. 6% say the Ricketts family. 75% says Todd Boehly Group, and 14% says Stephen. Mr. Stephen, I don't want to try saying his last name. Martin Broughton has 5%. What do you think about that poll?
Who came up the highest on the poll?
Todd Boehly. No, I'm not surprised. 75%.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not surprised either because, like I said earlier, it would be the best option out of all the cornucopia of options left for us to choose from. You know, so I wasn't saying that he's not interested in building a stadium because he wants to build a massive stadium, but I'm saying he's not relying on the finances, the income, the revenue coming from stadium, you know, to survive or to make profit because he's already built up a different ecosystem, in terms of technology, because when he said he's coming with data, he's talking about Liverpool model, whatever. I was trying to picture what this guy was really talking about. So it's a different thing entirely. For example, there was a situation where someone asked him if he knew, a little kid in America know anything about a football club, in Europe or something. But he said something very interesting. That little child might not be waiting on TV to watch Chelsea play or what Man United play, but might have something, might be playing the same thing on EA Sport or something, might be playing some computer game. We know that club. So he's consuming that content in a different way, in a digital format. And someone like Bowley believes in making more money from that angle, yeah, compared to someone that is just siphoning whatever funds that is coming in from the stadium. So in terms of winning, yeah, obviously winning is the most important aspect of getting commercial opportunities and marketing opportunity, because I would expect every successful company in the world, every successful brand to be associated with the champions of the world, the champions of Europe, you know? So if we are able to maintain the standard consistently for the next 5, 10 years, then it's a different thing entirely. So just like with Tuco's format, if we can maintain Tuco's format of taking every game, as they come, you understand? So there's a tendency for us to be able to achieve things like that, long sustained, you know, uh, um, achievements, that we can all be happy about and proud of, not just winning in patches, not knowing when the next trophy is going to come and all of that. So, following Boehly's model, we are not going to have a sugar daddy, but we'll be safe, sustained, and we'll have a massive stadium. So that's not going to stop. The fact that it's going to look for other angles to raise money doesn't mean we are not going to have a big stadium to befit our status.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much for that. Before we talk about Matthew Broughton, I will start with Nick Blue on that. But before I go to Nick Blue, Ty, any thoughts? Any final thoughts on Todd Boehly? Why you think he's the favorite, fans' favorite?
Yeah, I think because because he's is because he's a favorite because we don't trust the other candidates. We don't trust them. So Ricketts, forgetting, we don't trust him at all, and I don't really trust the other lot either, but not as much as Ricketts. Plus, Boehly, won't have any issues with like Roman did. That's another big factor. He could be the owner because the government, if Roman wants him, the government can't say no. That's another issue. That's and what he says. I know, everyone can talk and think different. That's every single person in the world. But what he sounds like to me, he's gonna do what he says. That's how he comes across to me. And he's young. He's not old. He's not an old pensioner like what's his name?
Luis.
Waste.
Yeah, yeah, Weez. Yeah, don't need an old pensioner who's going to die next week. that won't be no good for the club. So I'm going for Baldy because unless, like I say, unless there is still someone else and we don't have a clue about. But it's kind of like Baldy's a favourite at the moment with all the fans and myself.
Yeah.
Then the main thing, like what's his name? Sorry, what's your name? LG.
LSG.
What he was saying, the most important thing. Yeah, sorry, LSC. Yeah, what you're saying, the most important thing is to rebuild this stadium, and that will bring a lot of income, and it'd be good for the fans, to be able to get tickets for all the fans, because there's a lot of us out here, not just in England, but all over England. I know in Europe, in Africa, everywhere, but they can't come as much as we do. But they're still fans, and I appreciate the fan base we have, especially from Africa and America. USA. We have so many fan bases. It's unbelievable. We're just getting bigger, and we have to keep it up. Keep the motion going. Keep the momentum going, and back to cool every step. As long as we back our manager and tie him up to a long-term contract, we won't have any problems. Tuchel is a man to have a legendary status at Chelsea, not like all the other managers, who they lasted 2 or 3 years. I can see Tuchel being here 10 years at least. The way he's going, he knows how to talk. He knows what to do with the players. He knows how to coach. So we're lucky to have him. I love him a lot, and I love every single player of Chelsea Football Club. And like your staff was saying, we've been here before the 70s. Me, myself, the first game I went to was 1969, and I will never forget that game against Leeds United. And I was very young. I was about 10 years old. And there's no greater feeling than, when you get on that underground train and traveling to Fulham Broadway. You know what it means to me as thousands of other fans? It's just a crazy feeling. You won't know unless you experience it, like Sav said. All the way to Fulham. We used to sing a song about Fulham Broadway to the away fans. We're going to get you on the way to Fulham Broadway and all this, rivalry. But it's not, you can't describe the feeling you get. And when you come out of that station, you come out of Fulham Broadway with thousands of other fans, and you're singing all the way to the ground. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's something.
Yeah, so
It's something that. Go ahead.
wait. Yeah, I just want all you fans out there in the world, when you get a chance to come and join us, because you're going to love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think I will get the opportunity. Probably on my way traveling to Africa to stop by and watch a game in Stamford Bridge. That will mean a lot to me. So I wanted to read this comment on the screen, and then I'll go to staff. Says people need to get this in their head. We will not get another Roman. We have to live in reality. Todd Boehly gonna do a smart investment instead of waste 100 million on Lukaku. Let's not talk about waste money on Lukaku stuff, but this brings to mind that yes, we're facing a new reality here, whether we like it or not, of things that will change. If Romana, in terms of, Roman has spoiled us, whether we like it or not, yeah, whether it was a loan or whether it was an investment, however you want to see it, he spoiled us quite a lot. That was so spoiled. We don't know the reality on how football clubs are run. We don't know the reality on how football clubs should spend money. Stab, can you give us a clue? Enlighten us a bit on how you think things are gonna change at Chelsea Football Club. But before you go ahead, I want to ask everybody that's watching, please, wherever you're watching from, please make sure to smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and more importantly, do not forget to click on the bell notification button so you don't miss anything. So, start coming to you. You let us know how you think things will change and how you think we're going to cope with it. And Declan, by the way, we have the link to the panelists in your DM, Twitter DM, and also it's pinned here in the chat. So, staff, go ahead.
Well, we're going to have to be more reliant on the academy for the start. But it's not going to change that much because for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been selling to buy. And that's going to continue. Right?
But are we going to always, do you think, do you think we'll always have players to sell to buy? We have too many to sell now because we have too many goods. We don't have, it didn't happen by accident. We're loaded in types of players. So, but one thing I like you said, go ahead, Staff.
Right, get rid of that middle one. Right, get rid of the middle one of me.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
okay, the middle one. Okay, yeah. Thank you for, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, crystal clear.
Right, why do you think, right, we went out and bought people like Harvard, just one example, right? The process was you get them young, they develop, they bring trophies to the club, and when they fancy moving on to Spain or whatever, you make a lot of money, i.e. Eden Hazard. That's why we bought young players. People are going, we've got too many young guys and all that kind of stuff, right? That's why we bought young players. Okay? So, yes, we will carry on selling. And we will sell some of the academy as well, right? Everybody does it, right? Man United had to sell Lukaku to go and buy players. They didn't just, go and buy players and not sell Lukaku. They sold Lukaku to buy players, right? So let's get that one straight. Nobody now, right, goes and buys players for the sake of it. You always have to sell at least one or two to buy somebody, and that's going to happen this summer, right? I expect at least 5 or 6 players to go out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to happen anyway, right? Well, I don't know who it's going to be, but I do. I have a rough idea, right? We've got to move back Try and Bakayoko on, even if we have to reduce the fees. Jorginho's going to go, I think, because it's his last year, but it's the only way we can get money for him. Alonso's another one, players like that. And then you're going to replenish the squad with the youngsters like Ampadu, Gallagher, right? Billy Gilmore. Billy Gilmore had an outstanding game against Scotland, right? He's their heartbeat, so he is capable of doing the job. Bring back Goya.
So overall, just tell us other ways things will change at the club.
Well, I suspect that the prices are going to go up for the start, right? So it'll become more and more expensive to go. What we don't get is realised is that during Roman's tenure, they only went up 3 or 4 times in 19 years, right? And that's going to change. How their sponsorship deals are done, that's going to change. They may be bigger, they may be smaller, right? All this kind of stuff. It depends who they're going to bring in to run the club, because it's not going to be Boehly, is it? Let's be honest. He's not going to be there every week, right? He's not going to be at board meetings. He'll select the board, and he'll have somebody that he'll send, right? Which I suspect is Barbara Sharon and the other 2 guys. They'll form most of the board, right? So that's going to change. With regards to it's in there that they've got to continue with the academy and the women's team. We may have 1 or 2 years where we don't win anything in the men's team. If that's it, so be it. As long as the young guys come in, get their chance, develop, and become stars. Simple as that. Right? We've been here before, right? Where we've had to fight back and rebuild. So I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with, right, is your survey is based on your viewers. Okay? We don't know enough about anybody to make a real choice as to who's the best, right? You said that Broughton's the lowest one or whatever, right? 5-6%, whatever it is, which is probably one person, right? I'm not judging anybody. I haven't got a preference at the moment. I haven't got a choice. But one thing I will do, not today, but maybe tomorrow, right, or this evening, is I'll start exploring all these consortiums, what they bring to the table, what their experience is, things like that. And then I'll decide who my preferred one is. I'm not going to base it on media telling us this and telling us that. I'm not going to just instantly jump in because somebody's got more money than somebody else. So I'll decide my own good time, who I prefer and who I think's better, right? But I think that your survey is based around the people that are listening in and are involved in the show. So it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the correct vision of the majority of Chelsea fans, does it? At the end of the day, so that's all I'm saying.
And wherever you're watching from, please make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We're getting to 1,000 subscribers right now. We're at 978, which means we need just, I think, 22 more to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I know we will get there soon. Ty, do you have any other input? And also, if you don't know Ty Talks CFC, you have to go check out his channel. He's a kid, but he understands football very well, especially from the perspective of Chelsea Football Club. Ty, anything else before I go to LSG?
I wanted to say something, but I forgot it, so you can move on.
Okay. Declan, welcome to the panel. How are you doing today?
Good. How is everyone?
Hey, we're all good. We're all good.
Declare,
Yeah,
we
welcome.
declare
You.
you as a true blue
I've
from
become a true
Australia.
blue.
Sorry, what did Nick Blue say?
He said he's declared me a true blue.
Yeah, I
Oh, that's
declare,
good.
declared. Yes,
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
waiting
of
for my
course.
own declaration. If
yeah.
you, that's up to you. Declan,
You're
before
gonna
I
have to
come
wait
to you, I want
longer.
to ask LSC this question. LSC, can you tell me how you're expecting things to change at the club and how you think the fans will deal with it? Because it's looking like we're not ready to face the new reality. Most of us are still waiting and expecting a new sugar daddy, if I'm allowed to phrase it that way. Or let me say, to be clear, somebody who will come in and spend like Roman. And I don't think that's possible again, if you ask me. So, what do you think? Do you think we're ready to face the new reality, or do you think we're in for a surprise?
I think we'll be ready for this for the last, let's say, 6 seasons. You know, maybe 5, 6 seasons. We've not exorbitant or conspicuous in the transfer market. So
Hmm.
we've always sell to buy. We must not forget that last season or last summer we made a total sale of about 97 million, wasn't it? 97 million. So we only spent 3 million pounds, for Lukaku. So let's not forget the talents that got flogged out from the academy, and the academy is still there. So whether we have a new owner or not, it's not going to change the prestige
But here's the thing:
and the
there's only much
quality
the
from the
academy can
academy.
fetch us.
I understand. I'm trying to, look at every angle. So it doesn't really affect us, because at the end of the day, we are still going to get rid of players and bring in players. So
Hmm.
that's how it's been working for a long time now. Okay, so I'm not going to see that. I don't expect more changes in that angle. Where I will be really scared is if the new management come in, that check, get it up, Marina, try to change things at the very beginning, not allowing room for maybe a year or 6 months to a year transition, or maybe one season transition, bringing
Hmm.
one or two person in to come and join the board, monitor the way Chelsea work, operates before you cannot start making changes. So as long as Tuchel remains in there and the type of player that he wants, because when you talk about using data to gather players, the way I interpret that is this: maybe Tuchel is not in charge of the transfer, or he wasn't in charge of Lukaku or even Saul, because those are the only transfer that's happened on that team so far. So if Tuchel is being asked, to lay out the players, how he wants to play, and the players that he needs to get
Hmm.
the job done, you know, I would like to see that. Because if that happens, I don't think we'll have any problem. Is when players are being imposed on managers, that's when, there can be conflicts on the pitch. So no matter what happens, if we continue winning on the pitch, we won't even be, concerned about how our club is run, about the boardroom and all of that. As long as we are winning trophies, we won't care. The only reason we are diving into this issue now is because of what has happened. And now we really want to have a whole say, a whole diagnosis of how our club is being run. And a lot of people think we are in trouble. We are not in trouble. The trouble came in from the British government, not from anyone else. Otherwise, we're all on point to get the players that we wanted to get for the summer. But the only change I want to see is that the manager is given the opportunity to choose the type of players that he wants, whether he wants to recruit from the academy or not. So that's what I want to say. In terms of commercial acquisitions and marketing opportunities, firstly, I don't want to see us retaining three, working with three anymore. We can bring in new sponsors and expand our markets. So I want to be optimistic about this whole thing. I don't want to be doom and gloom unless it ends up being the Rickets or some other people that I don't really believe in. But if it's Todd, I have reasons to be optimistic, irrespective of how imperfect their bid might be.
Yeah, understood. I think you could say that you and staff are very aligned in terms of how you think things will change at the club. But I'm going to come to you, Declan, and hopefully I'll start a fight with you. I like it where you're fighting. Uh, Declan, you know quite well that things will change, and I don't know how you that is the aspect you feel like they will change. But if that's the case, do you think the fans are ready to face the new reality? Because the truth is, overall, we know we're not getting another Roman Abramovich, no matter how we see it. So, Declan, how do you think things will change, and do you think we're ready for it?
The changes won't be seen straight away, and it'll be quite the opposite. Uh, my my assumption, and I'm pretty sure about it. Whichever new owner comes in is gonna have a he's gonna try to do a statement signing, try to have a good transfer window. This
Mm-hmm.
is probably the best way to win over fans, right? And everyone's gonna celebrate his name, whoever it is, right? And I
You
reckon we're gonna have
sure
a good transfer
everyone is going
window.
to celebrate the person's name?
It besides Ricketts, who no one will ever be happy with, but whoever comes in, his main priority is to do good things. It could even be he shows plans for the new stadium, right? It could be something. He has to win over the fans, and the best way to do it is transfers, right? So that's one way they're going to do it. Now he's going to talk about stadium. He's going to talk about the growth and everything. Whoever comes is playing politician, right? And it's all going to sound great, and everyone's going to be happy, but no one's going to see it till maybe 5, 10 years because to buy Chelsea 2 to 3 million, right? And everyone's taking loans. And what my biggest fear is that some of these guys will put the loan on Chelsea name, right? And then every loan comes with interest. The stadium, they promise whatever they promise, yeah, they're going to take that in loans as well. We can be so crippled, right? That I know some people mentioned, oh, we need to sell to buy. That's bullshit because when uh, when Lampard was here, we didn't sell to buy. The only reason we sold is because that new loan rules coming in, and we made a lot of mistakes as well. So we had to get some players off the books, right? Our wage bill is not past Man United's, right? It's not far off. I mean, and Man United make twice as much money as us, probably a little bit more. Anyone all right? And so Chelsea's advantage is that Chelsea wasn't a club for profit, so they had more resources to spend. We weren't the highest earners, but we were competing with the richest clubs because we weren't there to make money. We were there to use all our money, and even if Roman put in money, even with FFP, right, to use the maximum. So we were using the maximum resource of the club. But
Yeah.
imagine
One
that
second,
going
one
from
second,
that.
Declan. Stop.
Yeah.
1 second, Declan. Stop. Are you okay?
Yes, I've just been to the Dunny, as declared would say, and I've
Oh,
returned.
okay. Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Go ahead,
Hope
Declan.
everything's all right.
No, I'm all right. I'm still alive.
Okay. Great.
Still alive and
Sure.
lined up to have an
Okay.
argument with declared.
That's
Okay.
it.
Go ahead, Declan.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, what I was getting at is that we've gone from using all our resources, all our money. We don't need to sell to spend because
Mm,
we actually made was it 300, yeah, so 350 million pounds I think it was that we make a year. Um, so we got a lot left over, and we use it all. Where a lot of other clubs will keep it and all that. Now when you got someone like Boehly who's playing politician and says we're going to use data, we're going to do sensible spending. Man, if you look at Chelsea's overall transfers, I think we've done well. If I had to compare it to Liverpool's over the 10 years, right, they've made way more mistakes. And like I said before, in their data that they're talking about, and this is an American thing. I don't know if you watch Moneyball, but this is where Moneyball started 10 years ago, right? Which started in baseball. which was data, right? And that's why the FSG came to Liverpool, because he did it at the Red Sox, and he thought he could do it here too. And you saw how bad he was at the start. Liverpool's data is Klopp. Our data should be Tuchel. So basically, we don't need data. We just need to go to Tuchel and his team and ask what he needs and what type of player he needs. And if he suggests a name, to really go after it. Now, the sensible spending is that even when Klopp wanted someone, Liverpool broke records. Data, right? If sensible spending means to not go for a perfect target and to take plan B or C because he's cheaper, then we're in for a big ride. We're going to be the next Arsenal. We're going to have an owner that doesn't want to spend and wants to do Arsenal type bids where it's 40 mil plus one, right? Plus, 40 mil plus one. That's what it was. And then use the excuse of the stadium and all that for not spending. And we could turn into the next Arsenal as the biggest fear if these guys start politician. That's why I wanted someone that was going to be the closest to Roman and throw money at problems, because the reality of that is that's the best model. There's none of this data and all this stuff. The best model is there's no going around, right? Because Werner on data looked great. Look at all the goals and stuff he done, right? On data he looked perfect. But there's no prediction, there's no crystal ball that's going to help you when it comes to Chelsea and not adapt and doing what he's doing now. There's no data that's going to help you there. And that can happen. And the good thing about Roman was that we threw money at problems. Werner didn't work out. We bought a strike force, Ziyech, Pulisic. 250 mil we spent. And then we were willing to throw another 100 mil on Lukaku, right? For this strike force. We're throwing money at the problem. That is the best model. Now, whatever these guys say, we're gonna have the opposite for that. So we're gonna be stuck with Lukaku, Werner's, and whoever we get. So we have to get used to living with our mistakes, because we should not have to. As soon as we had a mistake, we'll throw money at it. And but the only good thing out of it, I'm gonna throw some positives because it's all doom and gloom, is that I think there's gonna be more chance for the academy players, which I wanted to see. You know, someone like Broja and Gallagher in the team. We'll see more opportunities from being that. And if we produce players, then they're going to fill a lot of the gaps, so we can spend more. And Tuchel will have more influence under this as well. So they're the positives out of it. But days of fixing our problem with money, that's probably gone with these guys that are coming up.
Yeah. I think a great input right there. It makes sense. It's not all doom and gloom. There are some advantages to it. One of which you mentioned, and I think Stav alluded to that too. We'll be using more academy products because we produce good players, but we'll let them go. And some we're regretting some of them right now. But again, you make a great point. And Tyrone, are you there? If you're there, you want to say something before I bring in Stav and LSG? And I want to read this comment on the screen before we go ahead. Data is a cheap word thrown around these days to sell business cases. I think that's the truth. If you're in the business world and you go to meetings every day, you see people talking about data, drawing some rubbish on the board just to sell stuff to you.
I have this data to tell you that this is going to be happening. And
exactly.
This data proves that during this period,
usually in reality, things are different because data doesn't. I think you use data when you're building a record, when you're doing market research, but it's no guarantee. It's no guarantee that the output will be what that will be aligned with the prediction of the data or whatever mathematics you do. I think in some cases you need to look beyond data to have to ensure accuracy in what you do. Do you want to add anything, Ty, before I go to Stav and LSG and then Nick?
No, the Claire basically said everything spot on. So no.
Okay,
just to add to that, we have to remember that Todd Boehly doesn't know anything about football too. So even when he says data,
we're saying that you can't say that. You don't know if he has. it's just assumed that he doesn't because he's a co-owner of a baseball team. That's just the assumption. No one knows what he does in his spare time. You can say that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Ah.
sorry, I must clarify. He can know the game, yes. Like I don't have the experience to run a club and do transfers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? I'm not
No, yeah, it
in any
does. It
club
does.
in any position. When I say he knows nothing, yeah, maybe he knows how the game's run, like me and you to watch on as a fan.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't know when he says we're going to do data and sensible spending. He has no idea of the ins and outs and how Europe is run. Is what I meant. Not that he knows the offside rule and knows what it means when the ball goes in the
I'm
nets.
not
Not
talking
like
about
that.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about
So,
he's never ran a club or been in the business of football to know to back up what he's saying. He just he just started talking about winning, right? And it sounded good. I liked it too. You know, he talked about I want to win, and he got everyone's ear. You know, yeah, he said all the right stuff, and then he got into it. He started playing politician, and then he talked, right? Why I say politician, right? As if we were in crisis, as if everything Chelsea been doing was bad, right? And that's why he started playing to the to the crowd where. Well, we're going to do sensible spending now, and we're going to get data. We're gonna, like he was promising better transfers than we we're doing. All I wanted from an owner is to just keep doing what we're doing. That's all I wanted to do. Even if we can't spend like Roman, just we're gonna keep it as we're gonna keep on the same path that Chelsea because we're going on a correct path. We got a great youth foundation. Our academy's killing it. The women's team's killing it. We don't need nothing. Some of the transfers have been like Lukaku and Vernon that have been mistakes and they can be corrected. But that's it. There's very little needed for Chelsea. We just need someone to come in and keep steering the ship in the right direction, and we don't need a big change. And that's why I say Todd Boehly doesn't know anything about football, never been in the business. He doesn't know what data is in football and sensible spending, and none of his consortium do
Yeah,
too. And that's problematic because I'll tell you now, my biggest problem with Todd Boehly is his consortium. Reese is 86 years old, and I, he could pass away, and I don't know who's gonna get his share. We got a Tottenham supporter who's just there for the money and could have influence on decisions of the club. So that's even worse than
yeah. Oh, okay.
than
Okay. Yeah. Stav, you want to respond
yeah.
to that?
Coach, should I ask declare something? Coach,
Yeah. Go ahead. Go
Answer,
ahead.
please.
And I want
let
to say
me ask
welcome to
declare.
Pierre.
Yeah,
I'll let you
De-
go in a bit. Pierre, welcome to the panel. I hope you're doing okay.
Doing okay.
Okay. Good. Good. Go ahead, Nick Blue. And sorry, I want to say
yeah,
also welcome to the chat to Almighty Blues FC, my brother, and also another content creator. If you haven't, go check out his channel. Great content, always, every day. I mean, if you do, you will thank me later. Nice to see you here, brother. Go ahead, Nick Blue.
yeah. Declare. You know, you're saying, Bowley doesn't know much about football because he's not into football over here. Yeah, I understand that. But he's coming to Chelsea, and we have the way it's being run at the moment, and we have people there who will run the club for him. He's just going to be an owner. He's the owner, but I don't see Peter Cech or the members of the board leave. Not all of them going. Maybe Marina will go with Abramovich.
No,
Maybe
no,
he won't.
I agree with you, Nick.
Yeah, that's what
I'll
I'm
clear it
saying.
up for you.
He,
I'll
he
clear
does
up
it, but
what I'm saying.
I just want to say, what he's saying is good for what he said, what we hear. We don't know
No, but what
till
happens?
if he
What
does
happens? If he wants to
if he
change,
does
Nick?
become the owner. Yeah. Huh?
What if he wants to implement what he's
What's he want to
promising?
change?
Well,
Yeah, but
he
we don't
promised sensible
know that,
spending
and
and
then
data, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, Nick,
Yeah,
I
but I'm
agree with you.
just
I want
saying
someone to come in and not touch the people that you just mentioned, right? And keep going, right?
nothing. Yeah,
But he promised people
but he's promised to do that. He's
sensible
promised
spending and
to
data.
go with the
And
fans.
do you know how Liverpool went and did that? Liverpool went and got some. I forgot the guy's name too.
Yeah.
They used if you watch Moneyball and that, it's all stats and a Moneyball type system. They weigh up a person's wealth, right, or transfer fee, and the stats and how they fit, and just take away the eye test and just use that, right? And then they brought in mathematicians. There's actually a little doco on that too. So they brought in mathematicians on how. So they're almost playing it like a video game, right? If you see how Liverpool want to do it, right? It didn't work at the start. It only worked when Klopp came in now, and they scored. And for me, they lucked out on some of the transfers, like Salah and that, because he wasn't showing those numbers that he is now.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So what if now Todd Boehly, right? Because it's his American counterpart. He's seen what Liverpool have done now recently, and not really over the length of course. And he all of a sudden gets in his head, I want to do what they're doing. And now he starts to probably get rid of some of the people you just mentioned, or put them aside, and bringing mathematicians and all this stuff, and start changing the way we start doing it. And mind you, I'm not going to rule out that it could work out great.
We will start shouting against him if he does that. You know,
you can't do nothing, Nick, and you
You
probably
know,
won't even know.
here's the thing: by the time, if the cloud is correct, because none of us we're just assuming that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
because we're talking about how things could possibly change if we, that is, if he emerges, that is, if we get a new owner, whoever that is. But we're talking about from the perspective if eventually it becomes Todd Boehly. Now you're not going to know how he runs the club, and by the time you know it, it will be too late if he's causing issues with the way the club is run. So, but that's, by the way, I stop. And you want to add anything to this?
I can add. I can add to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I noticed on the survey Todd Boehly is the number one choice here, and yet Todd Boehly is going to he will include this data that people seem to be against. Now, if we go back to Liverpool, they've got an analyst involved. Again, I can't remember the analyst's name.
I couldn't remember the name too.
But that's beside the point. The analyst from Liverpool comes in, and his the whole Liverpool template is based on Finkelstein, who is going to be part of the Todd Boehly. He's one of the two people alongside Barbara Sharon, the two Chelsea fans. Now, this Finkelstein, he developed this football data to actually look at players, and Liverpool adopted that, got an analyst, and they basically copied Finkelstein's approach. He had a column in the Times called Think Tank, which he developed this data analysis, and he's brought him in, and he's going to use it. He's going to use Finkelstein. He's actually going to use the person who developed this system in the first place. So if you're not keen on it, then you don't really want Todd Boehly, do you?
And let me ask this question: has it been effective?
Well, Liverpool,
I'm asking you,
now it is effective, but declared, but as you said, Liverpool didn't start off brilliantly with it. I mean, they would say it's a success, and obviously Todd Boehly says, yes, look at how successful Liverpool are, and he wants to get the guy who actually came up with the idea. As I said, Finkelstein's approach, his system is called Think Tank.
Okay.
When Finkelstein came in, they didn't do a lot of good transfers. There was a lot of trial and error. And over the decade, Liverpool have made really bad signings. And the only time they started doing good signings is when Klopp came in and Klopp had an influence. Hey, there's a massive echo in here.
There is a massive echo.
Somebody's mic needs to turn off. They have some echo.
Yeah, okay, let's just do it this way. If you're not talking, mute your mic, and maybe that will help us. Okay, go ahead, Declan. You were saying something.
Yeah, I was just saying that it needs a time frame of when he came in, which I think was 2009. I think, or maybe 1 or 2 years off that. So Liverpool have used this system for over a decade or about a decade, and in that decade, they've gotten players like Balotelli, Charlie Adams. They've had even Andy Carroll. They've had heaps of bad signings, right? And even something that's recent, Werner was on their list to say on their most improved model. Let's say the update, and Werner hit their data list. There's just something more to data, and we have, and Chelsea are full of, experienced. Look, there's questionable scouts at the moment, yeah, but for the most part, I feel like Chelsea's done better business and transfers over a length of time. Let's say the decade. If we're measuring the same over the decade, Chelsea have done better business than Liverpool over the 10 years. That's how I feel, and it's not like their model is proven. So what happens if we change a lot of the internals, right, and internal people, and the great structure that's been there for a while, and we try to implement this data, and we go through the same hiccups? And to me, you can't factor in, for me, because there's a coincidence that when the transfers started working was when Klopp came in, right? And for me, I feel that Klopp had more of a saying on the transfers than the data, right? Or they worked together, but that doesn't mean that we're gonna put Tuchel with data and it's already just gonna sync up straight. I think there's also a bit of luck with some players that turned out way better than they thought, and now you're just gonna put a model that has a lot of question marks around it, which I just raised, and expect it to work straight away. And then what's the backup plan if it doesn't work? We could have so many mistakes, and mind you, it's sensible signings. Yeah, if it was Roman that wanted to test data and it didn't work, you know what happens? He throws money at fixing that problem. Is Todd Boehly going to start throwing money at mistakes that he made? No. So that's why taking a risk on something like this that he can't fix with money is a big deal. I would rather stick to what we're doing and what Chelsea have in place now, because I know it's not a risk the change is not a risk, and and there's not a chance to fail, because I think what we're doing now is great. It's just going to be less spending, which I don't mind, because we have a lot of academy players that will get a chance. So there is that. That's why I feel that and mind you, Todd Boehly doesn't have any experience in data as well, and he's going to bring people and rely on those people. Also, to add, if he starts building a stadium as well, then there's less money again, and then you got loans, and then you got a big wage bill, and that's why, to go back to what I initially started saying, that fans will not feel any of the effects in the first coming seasons, even up to 5 years. But all this stuff accumulates, and after 5 years, when we can't spend anything and we have to sell our best players, and we're building a stadium, that's when it will all sting. And that's if they put the club sale on a Chelsea name as well, and we might feel the effects 5-10 years later.
Can I ask you?
So what do you have to say?
I'm confused now, because there's been so much discussed. Right? Okay, I'll take it one by one. Right? How many percent did Ricketts get, and who picked Ricketts? Right? Somebody.
Yeah, I can't see the poll as well.
Right? Somebody picked Ricketts. After everything that's been said, people still picked Ricketts. Right?
There's always a troll, isn't there?
I want to answer to Borgo's, right? Dr. Borgo's comment regarding them we're not allowed to mention, right? They have their own reasons for sanctioning him, right? And purely on the basis that he's Russian and they needed a high-profile target. The problem with Roman was, even after he said he's going to sell, can you hear me clearly?
Someone needs to mute.
Yeah, if you're not talking, please mute so the echo isn't coming. If you're not talking, all of us, I'll mute too. If you're... Go ahead, Stav, go ahead.
Right. The Roman, right, is just a scapegoat target for the UK government. Could have been anybody else. If there had been someone else as high profile as him, they might have chose them, right? Like, now, when Roman said he was going to sell, okay, he said that the net amount would go to the Ukraine war victims. The net amount. That created a problem then, because they're starting to think, well, hang on a minute, he's going to take something out of it. Okay, i.e., the 1.5 billion debt instead of taking it from Chelsea. So that's that out of the way, right? With regards to Declared's thing about throwing money at the problem and stuff like that, we haven't done that for a good 7-8 years now, irrespective of what he thinks. FFP came in. Roman's only contribution was allowed to be 10 million euros a year per year over the 3-year counting period, right? He couldn't put no more money in. With regards to the purchases, right, we sold Eden Hazard for 160 million without spending it because we had the embargo, right? Without spending it, sold him for 160 million, 60 million for Morata, and just under 60 for Costa. Add 15 million for Pasalic to Atlanta. Then you've got the Luiz fee, you've got the Callas fee, right? And the other two lads that we sold to Bristol City, right? And you've got Palmer. Okay. Then you had Hector, Hector guy, right? We sold him. So we did sell people to buy. So this is a misconception that we just throw money at the problem. We don't, right? It's a misconception. We sold players, I think it was 8 or 9, to buy those players we bought 2 summers ago, right? Ziyech was just over 34 million, right? The most expensive was Havertz, followed by Werner, and then we had some free transfers and stuff like that. But we've been selling to buy for a good 6 or 7 years. Let's get out of this thing that we've been throwing money, right, at the problem, because we haven't, because he's not allowed to. He's not allowed to, right? The vast majority of that debt dates back to his first years before FFP. So he's not been allowed to throw money at it. So that's a misconception. With regards to Boehly, I'm not going to commit myself because I have how can I put it? I don't want to upset other Americans, but I have a big distrust of rich Americans, right? I'm not going to say he's going to be good or he's going to be bad. I still haven't made my choice as to who I see as the best. We don't know anything about this guy who's just come in, right? And Pagliuca has to sell Atlanta first. He shares in Atlanta, and the 2 guys with Broughton have to sell their shares in Crystal Palace before they can come in. Now I know what the Declared's going to say here. He's going to bring up Red Bull, Leipzig and Red Bull. I forgot the Austrian name now, right? Salzburg. So I did some research after our conversation. Salzburg, right? Yeah, I did some research, right? Salzburg, right? The guy who owns Red Bull had to sell, right? Salzburg, and Salzburg were allowed to stay on as the sponsors, but they had to reduce the sponsorship amount as well, which is to get around what Man City did. So now he only owns Leipzig. He doesn't own Salzburg anymore. So he had to sell, right? So I did some research because I was a bit dubious about how they were managing it, right? And the same guy did own it, and Red Bull is an Austrian company, right? So he had to sell that. So Pagliuca and the 2 Americans involved with Sebco and Broughton are going to have to sell their shares. Now, the fact is, as I said earlier on, maybe they've already got buyers or potential buyers, but they want to make sure that they're going to win the Chelsea bid before they want to sell their other club bid. Because they're not going
Now, Stav, can you tell us what you think about Todd Boehly's plan of using data as a base for operations at Chelsea if he emerges the winner?
It's BS. It's totally different in Europe, right, to what they do in America. It's just BS, right? We're going to still have to sell to buy. We're going to have to bring more youngsters in, which I'm fine with. Bring back the ones I said, Ampadu, Gilmore, Broya and Gallagher, right?
Yeah.
Go there
I
and
think we've
bring
established that. So you
and bring
don't
back
like the
Corville
fact. So you
and
don't
bring
like the
back
fact that
Corville.
he's yeah. So you're saying you don't like the fact that he's planning on using data?
No, I don't like it because it's nonsense, isn't it? What's data? Like Declared said, right? Werner was one of their targets using the data, right? I don't happen to, apart from this season, I don't think, considering what Werner had to go through last year with Havertz and Ziyech, right?
Mhm.
I don't think he did that badly. 28 goal involvements and winning 7 penalties, right? So I
Mhm.
don't think he was that bad, right? Because he's not a lead striker. He's not a lead striker. He's a secondary striker who plays off a big man, right? So that's what he is. But he's another one who we're going to sell. Right? We'll sell him as well. Right?
Okay,
There's already
that's a topic
probably
for
think you
another
want
day,
to
probably
David,
tomorrow. Let me come
David,
to you. I know you haven't spoken much.
Can I
Pierre, are you
quickly
still
clear
there?
some of that stuff? Said that I don't want people getting a misconception. When I say throw money at a problem, I also did say smart. Chelsea did good business as well, and they did sell as well. But when I mean money at a problem, I mean when we needed a keeper, we broke a record. When we needed a striker, we broke another record for us. When I say money at a problem, is that
you
we're
mean
willing
being
to
restrained?
spend when we
You mean,
need to spend.
yeah. Well, you mean they're
Does that
going to
make
be?
sense?
Yeah. You mean Bowley's going to be restrained and maybe not even spend anything,
Yeah. So I'll
right?
give you a quick example. The way Lukaku was going, I'm pretty sure we might have picked up another striker, right?
Yeah. He's
If
going to
Roman
go.
was still in. Yeah.
He's going to
But
go.
if Todd Boehly is or any of these owners, let's just put them all in the same boat, maybe, right? When someone says sensible spending or someone's really looking at finances, then they will look at Lukaku as an asset that is not easily expendable. And in this case, Todd Boehly probably look at getting rid of Tuchel maybe just to get the best out of Lukaku, if that's the case. Or we'll just have to live with Lukaku, right? Or Mbeumo, because we've already well invested and we're going to lose so much money. That's what I mean by throwing money at the problem, is because if we need to spend, we're willing to do it. And we're willing to fix the problem. And we're willing to
Okay.
make a loss. But
Yeah.
these new
Okay.
owners, these new owners will be stuck with these problems for longer.
All
Yeah. I
right,
get your
I
point.
think
That's what I mean.
I get your point.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But neither of them two want to stay anyway. So it doesn't matter if they're assets and that's how they see them. Neither of them
Mhm.
want to stay. Neither of them want to play for Tuchel. Right? That's become obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
if
So
So
they
now
neither of them
should
want to
move,
stay.
then their hands are tied. But I mean, if it's one of these owners might not want them, let them go.
yeah, and again, please, if you're in the chat, say welcome to Pastor Daniel Ansog. Pastor Daniel Ansog, if you have it, please do subscribe to the channel and also hit the like button. And I'm gonna go to Pierre now. Pierre, we talked about this, and I haven't asked you this question. How do you expect the things to change at Chelsea? I know we see things differently. Maybe there are other aspects of the club's operations or the way the club operates. Or let me say, if you prefer the way the club do things that you think would change, and do you think the fans are ready for it?
Well, the only two people I know a bit about is the Todd Boehly and Broughton. The other two, Ricketts, the only thing they've mentioned is about building the new stadium, and I don't know anything about the new person at all. But yeah, Todd Boehly said that he will include more fans' decisions. He's definitely going to bring in this data system. But the one thing that he doesn't mention, he doesn't talk about the Chelsea Academy, the Chelsea women's team, doesn't talk about any of that. And yeah, I can see he's the overwhelming favourite here amongst the people. He's come up top of the poll. And the person who roughly near the bottom, Broughton, did say this about the Chelsea Academy, that needs to go on Chelsea. He has made promises on that side. And I've also heard discussions here in the fact that isn't it good we got a Chelsea Academy we can rely on players like Conor Gallagher and Gilmour and Brozier, and I would like to know what Todd Boehly would do with the academy, because he hasn't mentioned it at all in his plans. His plans are to get some A-list players, which is exactly what Declared said, but that will be the same with any owner, I would expect. He's going to come in, get a few top signings to make a statement. He's made a statement about using data to do data, bring in a system similar to Liverpool, and bring in more crowd involvement and develop the stadium and stages. But he hasn't mentioned anything about the current structure and whether that will be preserved or dismantled, whether he'll get rid of the Chelsea Academy, whether it will be too costly in his opinion. And Martin Broughton has said that is definitely would stay if he was in, as I say, but he's not as popular. One thing I can say, I have spoken to some Liverpool fans. I do know one or two of them, and their praise for Sir Martin Broughton is immense. They honestly believe he saved their club. But so I am really shocked to that. I don't expect him to be the favourite, but the fact that he's so far down does shock me a bit.
Yeah, thank you for that. And let's see your response.
So which particular question?
To how you think things will change, and do you think the fans are ready for it?
Like I said before, I don't expect more changes. This idea of a radical change in the first 2 seasons, I don't see that happening, honestly. And since of the Todd Boehly, if he eventually gets the bid, I think part of the requirements for Ring Group and Chelsea was to include every single aspect of the club, which includes the academy, the women's football, and the first team, and every other employee, associated with the club. So I don't see them having a complete neglect of the academy if they do come in. So their bid, they got the finance, and to some extent, the expertise when it comes to development of the stadium, even though the guy is Tottenham fan, which I don't really like, but I guess I have no choice. So, but when it comes to this obsession with Liverpool model and all of that, honestly, I don't get that part at all. That's one part that irritates me about his ideas. Like someone said earlier, the data they have is club, and that's it, and we have to cohere. So I think also the idea of getting rid of Tuchel shouldn't even be entertained or discussed in any parts of Chelsea, community. I don't even think we should be discussing that. Emma Hayes at Chelsea in her own right is an institution in her own right. I don't see Emma Hayes leaving because, she's the best you can ever get. So we have the same with Tuchel, and I want that to be, a constant. So if
Yeah.
Lukaku is not performing well, then he should be the one to go, not the manager. And then we will bring in a different player. So I think we set to a point now where I don't really see us getting affected. As long as we're not affected on the pitch, I don't see much problems, like the way some people want to make us believe. But we just have to be hopeful of this process and trust the club to make the best decision, because they will know this, they will understand this, they will be, worried. Even the players will be worried. I'm sure the players will relate their fears to the manager, and since Tuchel is going to be part of the meeting once the shortlist is confirmed, so I'd say, I see something good coming. I don't see them, transforming the club drastically and just unless they change the manager, and then that's when we'll have problems. If they don't change the manager and everything is still going, no reduction in wages and things like that, I don't see no one leaving, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much for that input. I think we should just go around and find everybody's thoughts and who they think will emerge the winner, so we can round up. I'll start with you, Declan. You know the list, the finalist. which of them do you think will emerge as the new owners of Chelsea Football Club? Declan, are you still with us?
Hello? Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I said the Rickets.
Really?
Well, how did
Why?
they manage
Why?
to get on the shortlist? I'm surprised. That's shocked me, the way they managed to get there. I mean, I didn't think they had no chance to get there. And they
And now
made it on
they're
the
there.
shortlist. And now
So
they're there, and I look at it and I
that
said,
scares the heck out of me. Go ahead.
yeah. I say, you want to see them on the shortlist? I said, I gave you guys zero chance to make it on this list. And now you're
Hmm.
on this list. And whatever you did to get on this list, that could help you win it. And it's pretty scary. But in all honesty, it's probably too hard to tell. Like, I looked into the new guy as well. I don't even know his name, but it was a Stefan Pagliuca.
The
Butchered that name anyway.
owner of Atalanta.
Yeah, so I mean, I liked Atalanta. I know a bit of the history of Atalanta, how it came about. It used to be a sister club to, or brother club, however you put it, to Inter Milan as well. But he just bought. This is the craziest thing. He bought Atalanta 55%, right, of Atalanta in February. He hasn't been an owner of Atalanta for a long time. He just bought it this year in February. So he just missed out on Chelsea, and I think he would have, he was waiting for such an opportunity that he is willing to give up what he just recently purchased, 55%. I think it's part of a consortium to jump on the Chelsea train as well. So he'll have to give that up. Uh, there's no news of who's backing him. There's nothing out there. So he's a mystery. He could be really good or he could be really bad. He owns I think he owns all of the Celtics or part or majority of the Celtics. I'm not quite sure.
I'm
But
not
people
sure.
say the Celtics, people say the Celtics are really run well. So that's a good sign too. Todd Boehly has all the support. So everyone's happy with Todd Boehly. And I guess if it's just by media and that, Todd Boehly will probably win it. But you got to ask the question: how did Ricketts make the shortlist? And is this process the correct one? And who's making? We
Hmm.
don't even know who's making the choices. We're asking: is it the Rain Group, or is it actually Chelsea, or is it both, or is it Bruce Buck? Well, this process has been a mess to me. So I'm rooting for the new guy because he's a mystery, and he
Yeah,
actually he actually already
but
showed.
again, you already said that you don't know what you're gonna get. It could be bad. It
Yeah,
could be good. Yeah.
the only thing I can go off is that he was so keen that he went and bought Atalanta, which is not a known club. It's not that big. It's pretty big in Italy maybe because they just recently made Champions League. But in terms of brand name, not many people know Atalanta. So the other people that have come in, and there's been a lot of expression for commercial expansion because Chelsea has
Hmm.
such a big name worldwide, and people look at that and that. Where Atalanta wasn't the case. So I can at least say that he bought Atalanta for maybe sporting reasons or half business, but definitely not commercial. And I can
Okay.
I can take that away from him.
Okay. So overall, who do you think will emerge?
The new guy, Stefan. I gotta learn his name
Who?
if I want to keep backing him.
The new guy? The Steven.
Yeah,
You
the
can
new
call
guy,
him Steven. That's his
Steven.
first name. Okay. How about you, Ty? Who do you think will emerge the new owner of Chelsea Football Club? Taron, are you there? Okay, let's see. Can you tell us who you think will emerge as the new owner of Chelsea Football Club and why?
Yeah, it's probably going to be Todd because he's been lingering on for some time now, isn't he? He's
Hmm.
been dealing with the process for some time now, and he's gradually growing on people. People imagine someone like me that at the beginning I didn't want to see him anywhere near Chelsea.
Hmm.
So now I'm all kind of rooting for him, but who I really want
Okay.
is not there. That's Steve Ballmer. It's not there. So I'll settle for Todd.
Okay. Ty, let me ask you again. Are you there? All right. I'll come to you, Nick Blue. Who do you think will emerge as the new owners of Chelsea Football Club, and why?
Yeah, well, at the moment, Boehly is a favorite, I think. But the other the other guy who owns Atlanta, doesn't sound too bad, really. If he's willing to, sell his shares with Atlanta and put it all in with Chelsea, could be good. But we don't know much about him, so we don't really know about him too much. The only thing we know, he's got a lot of money. Was it 155 billion or something? So he's loaded. So
I
it
think he
could
only
be
has
him.
access to that, Nick. Not that he's worth that
Yeah, I
much.
know, but still, he's got money. He sounds the richest guy out of a lot of them. So, but we don't know, what his real intentions are for the club. We haven't heard much about what he wants to do or nothing. So that's the thing. For me, at the moment, it's Boehly. Ricketts, I don't know what declare you want to start another war. I think mentioning Ricketts. It could be World War III if that happens.
No, but I'm sure that crossed your mind. How do they make the
All right.
shortlist, and can they use the same way they made the
Yeah,
shortlist
I don't know.
to actually win the
They're
whole
going
thing?
to
All
be thrown
right.
as easy as they come in. They're going to be thrown out. You watch. They haven't got
Now,
a chance in hell.
if they come in, they
Uh,
can
No, they can't do
not
nothing.
leave.
We
All
won't
right.
let it
I'm gonna
happen.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
So
go. So your choice. Who do you think again? Nick Blue. Who do you think will win it?
yeah, like I said, I think Todd Boehly is going to win it,
Okay.
unless someone out of the blue comes in. Another bidder might come in. We don't know. So I think he'd be Todd Boehly.
Okay. I'm gonna come to you, Pierre. Who do you think will win and why?
If I was going to say who I think will win, I think that Todd Boehly would win. Mainly because obviously he's got backers. He's got obviously the Swiss guy, and obviously himself. He's got David Finkelstein or Daniel Finkelstein, Barbara Sharon. He's put in a good number of people. Goldstein for the development side. So he hasn't answered the youth academy, and I would doubt that Rain Group would say that is a necessity, that you need to keep the academy. The academy, that's quite a costly thing, and obviously he hasn't made any statement about that. But I think he's the favourite to go through. Martin Broughton would be my personal choice. What I know of the four candidates so far, because he has said that he would keep that sort of structure in place. The youth academy would remain, etc. As I say, the other ones haven't made promises. Ricketts, the only thing I knew about them was the development. But yeah, I think Todd Boehly's the favourite. I have to add one thing that made me laugh the other day on Stav's Chelsea Facebook page, was the fact that someone posted a picture of Stamford Bridge with the term "Our Mecca" as a expression, and Stav did reply back and said, "Just show that to Ricketts." I thought that was fun.
Yeah. Yes. Stop. Okay. Now, Pierre, your first choice.
Well, my choice is
Do you
Martin
think
Broughton.
will be Boehly, right? But no, but your
Who I
first choice
think
will
will
be
win.
Broughton.
Yeah,
But you think,
I think Todd
but
Boehly
you
will
think
win.
Boehly will win?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's the fans' favorite, but you never know. Anything can happen. After all, we didn't know that the Rickets will even make it to the final phase, but they're there anyway. Ty, are you there? One more chance for you before I go to Stav to round up for us today. All right, Stav.
Can you hear
Overall,
me?
well,
Can you hear
okay,
me?
yeah, we can hear you. Who do you think will emerge the new owner of Chelsea Football Club, and why do you think so?
I think he may be Todd, because I think for weeks now he was looked at as the favorite, even when people in like the Saudi group and even with Catalina came on and what she was doing in the past. But I think he may be Todd. I think he may come out the winner in a sense of the remaining, which I think is 5 now. So I think he will, because I think probably what he's been saying, what he has been promising, may, I don't know, probably convince whoever is responsible for choosing or making that final decision on who should be the ideal party that eventually gains ownership of the club. It's it's difficult because I think Ricketts, even though people don't want them, a lot of people don't want them. If it's as as it's been said that the Rain Group is really responsible, despite the board playing some role in who's also being chosen. If it's a case where that is it, the Ricketts family probably may have a chance, but I still do believe it could be Todd.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Stav, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so who do you think? I know most cases you don't like to predict, but I'd like you to give us from what's going on, what you've seen so far, what you've learned about each of the groups. Which of them do you think will emerge the new owners of Chelsea Football Club?
I think it'll be Boehly.
Why?
Just think it'll be Boehly because he's the one that stands out, doesn't he? He promoted himself without overdoing it. Well, in some ways. With regards to Claire joining us late, the Ricketts got through because that's the process. They ticked all the boxes on the forms that Chelsea sent to every buyer, a potential buyer, and they ticked the boxes, so they have to come through. If they were kicked out early, based on, it's like if you go to court, right, you get told that the press can't say anything because it prejudices your case, as it were, or your defence. So it's the same thing here. Just because they said certain things and we don't like it, he has to be given an equal shot at speaking to the board. If it's him, I'll be very surprised. As surprised as I am that somebody was picking them in your survey, whether they were trolling or not. So, yeah, Boehly, but my choice is the same as Pierre's. Reason being, there's two Chelsea people there, proper Chelsea people. I think Seb Coe's honorary president or something. Martin Broughton's been a fan longer than me. Right, that's for sure. He's 60 years, mine's only 52. And they know the club, right? They know the structure, right? They know everything. They've both been involved with the club one way or another. And that's my choice if it was left to me. And the thing is, he did say, Broughton, right, that he has got enough financial backing and he's not going to keep it secret. It's only the list is only just come out now, so there could be other people behind them as well, right? And he did say he'd keep the academy, the women's, they would invest in the team, do the stadium, and try and keep the structure of the club as close to as possible as it is now. So that for me is what attracts me to them. But I believe Boehly will win it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. And with that, I think we've come to the end of the show. And I want to thank everybody in the chat. You provide great value to the show. I thank you again for the panel. To the panel, thank you, LSG. Thank you, Declare. Thank you, Nick Blue. Thank you, Starvin. Thank you, Pierre. Pierre, you joined late, but they said lateness is greatness. You're always welcome to join whenever you have time. I appreciate you all. Great input from everybody. And I like it that, we learned a lot today. We learned things we didn't know about the finalists. And again, this is why Blue Morning is a good show. And if you can, please tell others about it so that we can get more and more people to join us in the show. It's a daily show. And also, we just 979. That means we need just 21 more likes to get to 1,000. 21 more subscribers to get to 1,000 subscribers. And if you can help us share the stream, tell others about the channel, that would do us a world of good in terms of the growth of the channel. And I want to say welcome to the channel to Christian59. Okay, thank you for whatever commenting this, whatever you mean by that. Yeah, it's a good stream. Yeah, thank you very much. If you haven't, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. And I hope we all, have a nice weekend. I'll see you all tomorrow in another Blue Morning show. With that, I say goodbye to you all and God bless us all. Bye.
Bye.